Hello, Wastelanders, and welcome to Fall of Man Radio. This is episode 3, where we're going to talk about transportation in the Wasteland. I am the Overseer, and I'm joined by my friend and business partner, the Merchant. We might be seeing a couple others come in later as well, namely the Prophet. So look forward to that. So, where do you want to start?
I guess we'll just kind of go off the basics. You know, in the world, I need to get A to B. I need a way to get there. How do I do that? I
Yeah.
mean, with the U.S., there's plenty of roads, there's plenty of cars, just about everyone has one. It all depends on the type of the apocalypse, honestly.
Oh,
Um, if
definitely.
we're, so if we're talking like there's massive craters, there's bombed out stuff like that. Getting around is gonna be a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there are plenty of roads and stuff like that. The problem is if everyone's trying to go somewhere at once, and I know you know as well as I have, but everyone's trying to get home on the HRVT, sometimes it gets a little clogged up.
Oh yes, just a wee bit.
So I'm not a huge car guy. I don't know the ins and outs and the torque ratio and
Yeah,
probability with vehicles. I mean, I think everyone should know the basics of their own car. How do I, fix a tire? General, like, okay, that doesn't sound right, stuff like that. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think broadly
Sadly, we don't
speaking,
have any mechanics here tonight, and I don't
yeah,
know how likely that's gonna be possible. But it does benefit to have mechanics knowledge about cars. Nonetheless, you can largely get by, I'd imagine,
yeah,
so long as you know some basic stuff, such as changing a tire, changing oil. Um,
making
but
sure you don't run out of gas, which is probably the biggest thing
yeah,
is
that's what I was about to
gas.
say.
So if I remember correctly, gasoline's only really good for about 3 months unless there's certain additives or if it's stored a certain way until it
Mm-hmm.
starts to break down and become less and less potent. But
Yeah.
again, this is more of a question for a car guy on why that happens. It's something of I think the best way to I think my dad talked about it a little bit is he said something about it's like thinning out your blood. Say
Okay.
your blood has oxygen in it, and that's kind of what you need to keep your organs alive. It's kind of the same with a car. Same with it's well, that's more of an oil thing. Never mind. It's again speaking from a car, not really being a car. Regardless, it's pretty much that a gas is very limited in how long it can actually be stored for, and B how much you're going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if I fill my car up and I drive it to empty, I don't really know the mileage. My old Jeep had a way you can measure how many miles left to empty. I can probably drive about 4.5, 5 hours, depending on the how fast I'm going and the conditions. So that's about 5 hours of drive time in a circle of where I can go to until I'm completely out, until my car is useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's still probably one of the more effective ways of getting around. Again, unless you run into a big roadblock.
Yeah. So I've been curious about the effectiveness of stuff like biofuels, how long that would that last, or even if it doesn't last long, how likely are you going to be able to make it yourself? If your engine is
Yeah,
capable of I assume, combusting biofuels, then or trash basically, then
yeah,
that could last you a lot longer. Then there is diesel, obviously. Um,
yeah.
but while that does burn better, as far as I've heard, it does not. It's not as common.
Um, I'm trying to remember it correctly. I believe, and I know someone in the comments is going to be like, "Oh, they're going to be a gasoline and diesel expert." But from what I remember, from what I was told from someone who used to work in the industry, it all comes from the same barrel.
Yeah.
I think actually diesel wouldn't be too hard to find. I guess it depends on the area. With how much trucking we have going on, a lot of those big rigs are diesel.
Yes.
A lot of those older engines are kind of diesel on, and I think, from what I remember correctly, diesel engines are it's like a trade off. I think diesel engines are more robust. I want to say less fuel efficient, but I don't know. Honestly, I used to drive an ambulance, and with those diesel, and I'll
Hmm.
get into that segue later on too. And actually had better gas mileage than its gasoline counterpart. So I guess it depends on a lot of things. It depends on the vehicle. It depends on what you're doing with it.
Yeah, I'd
So pretty
imagine.
much your fuel sources are going to be gas, diesel, biofuel, hybrids and electrics, and then I don't. That's pretty much that's all I know. That's where you could probably be able to find hybrids and electric cars are not super duper common. Not even in my area up north. But for that one, even with those electric cars, uh, you need power. If you don't have power, you could probably find a way to do it if you have a special plug, because it's not a standard outlet. So those old big plugs usually you see on the back of a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And if you have a solar battery or solar panel, you can charge that up. But it's going to take a while. Again, another reason to have a mechanic on your team, or another reason to learn some mechanics, is you could probably find a way to overcome some of these obstacles. But I think
Yeah.
within I think as soon as like the apocalypse happens, regardless of what event, then yeah, it's going to be a free for all when it comes to people trying to get from A to B. So there's going to be a lot of roadways plugged up. There's going to be a lot of people scavenging for gas, and I I'm trying to think. I want to
Especially
say there's a
early
really
on and whatever it is, because people were going to be. Well, you're going to get what you see in all the movies and all the games and books and stuff
yep
like that. Is you're going to get a bunch of people that are panicking and fleeing urban areas and causing traffic jams and all
yeah
sorts of other nonsense. People are weirdly and honestly, like, you see this in real life with things. um you see how weird people are about still following some semblance of rules.
yeah.
And
I
that's, I
I
think, why they show in all the movies and stuff how everyone, when they're leaving the city, they're all going on the outward bound interstate instead of, both sides leaving. um
Yeah, there was a really good shot of that in The Walking Dead when he's going
yep.
into Atlanta, where the outbound traffic is full. Now, the problem being is if you have to be consciously aware, you almost have to almost know instinctively that you're going to probably get in an accident and leave yourself enough room. Because once you get bumper to bumper with somebody, it's damn near impossible to get out unless you like say, fuck it, I'm gonna ram them forward and then ram the other car backwards so I can get out of here. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna necessarily blame people because it's easy. Like I was traveling home on 81 and there was an accident right ahead of me, and then everyone crept up on me, like there was no way I can get out. Then people were blocking the shoulder, and of course they were blocking the shoulder as the ambulance was trying to get through. They were not
Yeah.
happy.
Oh, by the way,
Um,
someone just told me that they are watching right now. How's it going, Adelan?
hey, welcome to the party.
um
Yeah, if they know about cars, definitely chime in.
yeah, if you have any knowledge about that kind of thing, feel free to chime in. um
I wish we used to go to the same guy every time as this guy named Jack
yeah.
where we lived, and he was a great. So I'm sure he is. He's still a great grease. Actually, I don't know if that's a derogatory term. I'm gonna dial that back. He was a great mechanic. Went saw him all the time. Had his own little shop, worked on everything, but he officially retired. So unfortunately, can't go to him. I'm gonna have to
uh
get him out of retirement if the apocalypse happens. Like, hey,
I think a lot of
yeah,
people would be pulled out of retirement in some capacity in an apocalypse.
yeah. Now, I guess it comes back to what you can learn now. Because my stepdad's the same way. He's not a supercar guy. He's not like, yeah, again, he's not like me where he knows the ins and outs of it. But he's honestly just found books because he's fixing up an old car that my grandpa had. He's just
Yeah.
fixing it up piece by piece and just like, yeah, he's like, yeah, go online. Granted, in the apocalypse, you don't have that option, but you can usually find books or manuals.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
uh,
it's depending. So the internet might not be an option, but like
yeah,
if somebody's
you can if you
saved
have
files on their computer and stuff.
exactly. Then that's what I recommend for people to do is save if they can get paperback or hard copy of stuff, absolutely great. If
Yeah.
not, try to get a hard copy on like the internet. Save it to your computer, save it to a thumb drive. So you won't be able to access the internet, but you can at least, if you have power, assuming again, depending on the apocalypse, if you have power for a little bit, you can. Oh, and printers too. If you have a printer and you don't mind paying for ink, I would definitely print those things out and laminate them so you have them handy.
Yeah. Also,
Regardless
yeah,
of if they,
Adeline, good to see you. And yeah, no, I totally understand if you're not knowledgeable about cars. I honestly, most people aren't, in my experience. We do
yeah,
know a couple people. CJ or Merchant was just talking about one of them, but we also know a guy we call Wheels, who's part of our Wasteland group. But as far as I'm aware, we don't really talk all that much. So I would invite him, but I can't.
yeah, it's all good. Actually, yeah, he'd be a good guest for it. But
Yeah.
again, hey, we'll figure it out. So yeah,
And then there's Warlord, who's on the picture in the background.
I
He
thought he
is
was.
he's
I thought he
more
was
of a
pretty.
bike guy though. So
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, and vehicles are kind of going back to vehicles are a good a transportation and b it's a shelter. It's kind of an all around like if you're on the move, if that's what you want to do, just kind of be more of a nomad. Then yeah, living out of your vehicle or um, yeah, like just going with that, going from place to place. I've known people who've done that who are just like, yeah, just they just drive around and they just live out of their car. If I
yeah.
had to choose between sleeping in my car, sleeping in a tent, I'd say
That reminds me, we actually know some people that went around living in their car for a while. They were with in the Fallout community. We met them at some cons that we had gone to. I'm gonna see if I can find some pictures of their stuff. Oh, did I lose you? Oh wait, hold on. My mic's doing weird things. Alright, I can hear you now.
that's what I love to do long term wise, and I guess I'll segment that into that now. Is
Real
one of my
quick,
projects I'm kind of working on the side.
Merchant,
So if I
real
can
quick.
find a decent deal on a.
You might have to start over because my mic didn't pick you up earlier.
Okay. What part did it cut off at?
I had mentioned the cosplay people we met, and then
Oh,
I
okay.
was gonna go find some pictures, and it cut you off right then.
Okay. Yeah, this group of people they retrofitted a van, like a Beetle van, not an older one. Or they, I don't. Again, I'm not. I'm not much of a car guy, so I can't give you the make and model of it. I know it was a Beetle. But what they did is they retrofitted it to have solar panels, like cooking, place to sleep. I had to ask him the rest. I think you talked to him a little bit more as far as their other needs, like showering and other things like that. But yeah, they had like a mini kitchen in there. They had solar batteries so they can just drive, and if they need to charge something up, they're good.
Yep.
But again, the wasteland, it's like, well, if you can find gasoline. But again, what I like to do, I'll segue into it now, is I've been talking about to these guys a while, but I'd like to be able to get myself an old, well, not old, get a diesel ambulance, that's not marked or anything like that, and fit it to do exactly that for having essentially a camping vehicle. And
Okay.
I've a lot of people saying like, why an ambulance? I mean, there's other vehicles you can do with.
Other
Kind of
than
reminded me.
having immediate access to medical supplies.
Yeah, if I could steal an ambulance or use one from the job I used to work at. One of the reasons I thought an ambulance would be cool because diesel ambulances are pretty decently like pretty robust. They're meant to kind of take a beating. They're not super fast,
Yeah.
but they're not they don't flip over super easy like my Jeep. Um, and they have a bunch of room in the back. They've already essentially have a prefab of shelves, a bed you can put in there. I'd swap out the stretcher. Honestly, stretchers are not comfortable. I took a nap on one a couple times.
Yeah.
Not recommend. Not my best nap. They also have a bunch of stuff in the back with outlets, and they have a bunch of stuff on the side for storage. So um, the problem is they handle kind of like a concrete fridge. You kind of have to know how to handle them. The other option would be is what my buddy's working on now. He's up in North Carolina. Is he's working on a panel van that he got for dirt cheap from a family friend,
Oh yeah.
and those are also perfect. But he has to do a lot of for that you have to do a lot of stuff to the back of it. You have to insulate it if you want to put a bed in there because it's a metal bed. So if you try to sleep back there, even with a mattress, it's gonna suck the heat out of you.
Hmm.
There's some other stuff you can do, but my goal is for these guys would be to get that ambulance, like make it look all cool and apocalyptic, and then do a cross country road trip to Wasteland weekend
Yeah.
and just do that. So that's, I mean, it doesn't have to be an ambulance, but I've seen a couple decent deals on old like 2010s like ambulances. And I've driven a couple of them before. Um, Now we'll go into vehicle selection too. The one I'm thinking of is like a mid-size one. They have the big old ones they used for big accidents, the crash trucks. But something that's mid-size, it's not going to be super big. It's not going to, take out another car if I take a turn too tight.
Yeah.
There's a smaller version of an ambulance, which you usually see in cities, that's essentially a van, but it has everything in the back of an ambulance. It's like a really small, like a clown car ambulance, as we call it, or vanbulance, as we dubbed it. That one wouldn't be too bad either. They make them in diesel and gas. The problem is it doesn't have as much space. That's why I kind of wanted a decent sized ambulance because it'd be like a command vehicle, like the camping vehicle.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a good way to go into vehicles of choice for the apocalypse. Because
Um.
each one you have pros and cons.
Yeah. So I mean,
Now
you
you
already
start.
went into a little bit about the ambulance situation. I've always kind of been leaning towards the idea of having a RV, maybe not necessarily a like a big box style one, but one that's like got a truck front.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, a little bit smaller, not like the huge land yachts,
yeah,
but something a little
and
more
the
manageable.
idea. I thought I had a picture. Yeah, I do. So there's a picture up on the screen right now from Wasteland Weekend. Um, it's similar to what I'm talking about. Where the living
So
quarters and stuff is kind of in the back, but it also doubles as an area where you can mount defenses and whatnot. Um,
actually, that
and then
actually,
there's the normal driving area. The disadvantage of something like this, which this is a heavily modified one as far as I can tell, is that to drive it, you have to be in a separate compartment, whereas with a traditional big box RV, it's all one compartment. Um,
yeah.
but this one tends to be smaller. It tends to like be less of a hassle to maintain and stuff because of that. And
I hear you.
I mean, I'd do with either one of them, but I think in terms of if I were only gonna be like me and maybe one or two other people, then this is probably what I'd go for. And then use like a big one as more of a permanent location uh, thing. But even then, there are other options.
Here we go. I forgot what they're called. The vanbulances are called transit ambulances.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that would be that the transit ambulances actually work pretty perfectly. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some now just out of curiosity. But yeah, as far as different cars, if if you have to use what you got, then yeah, you go with what you got and you make it work. But different cars, different vehicles have different pros and cons. So,
Yeah.
for example, I think for your car, what you drive,
I drive a
um,
sedan, basically.
I thought you drove like a smaller. Maybe it's your last car I'm thinking of.
Well,
You drove
it's a four-seater, like car. I don't know if that qualifies as a sedan, but
yeah, and I'm gonna do, I guess, my best way to acquaint or make it more uh easier to grasp is kind of talking about it in video game terms. I know it's, oh, video games, disconnect, it's not real life. Yeah, yes and no. Well, what I'm going to talk about is certain vehicles have better acceleration, certain vehicles have better stopping, handling. They're more durable. They can take more of a
yeah.
beating.
Well,
They're
my car is an all-wheel drive car, so I've actually been in circumstances where other people, due to weather and whatnot, are unable to dig their cars out of the mud or something, but I've had no problem with it. Um,
yeah, and that's one thing too, is having four-wheel drive or having all-wheel drive.
yeah,
You have the capability of getting to places where other cars couldn't, and depending on the weather or the circumstances. Because again, I've talked to Trevor about this. If I have to, say I'm trying to get home in the apocalypse, and I have to go off road or drive on the side of the highway where where the dirt shoulder is, if I have to, I will.
mm-hmm.
Or drive in the lane. It's not safe, but
See,
I
that's
was talking.
when, see, I would not drive. I'd try to avoid driving my vehicle in in off-road environments because it sits low to the ground. It's not a truck. Um,
Oh yeah, that's another thing you have to consider.
because you have to consider your suspension and whether or not you're gonna damage it.
Yeah, 'cause if your suspension gets toast and you're in the apocalypse, good luck replacing that.
Yeah.
Also, side note, real quick, have you seen anyone ever store their keys in the sunshade mirror that's right above the driver's seat? It's always in movies and horror movies. I've never seen anyone actually store their keys there.
I haven't. I
I
I
have.
keep them on me.
I
Hmm.
have actually seen it.
Oh, you
FYI,
have?
I'm hearing
Well,
you
hello,
guys.
dead one, by the way.
Welcome to the party.
Hey.
Welcome to the party. This is dead one, everybody.
Yeah, no, so my grandfather used to do it. I see a lot more like old timers do that. Like my
Okay.
grandfather, I distinctly remember he used to keep the keys of his truck in the sun visor, and when he would get in the truck, he'd pop the sun visor down, drop it into his hand, and start the truck.
Huh.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense. I
Fair.
think for our, yeah, I need to get some air. There we go. Now that I think about it, we never took it out on time because it was a farm use only vehicle. We used to have an old red pickup truck that was really tiny, just for kind of around the farm stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my stepdad would store the keys to. But I mean, we never took it like into town. Then leaving your vehicle running, I don't see anyone do that anymore for good reason.
Yeah, I
There's very few places I will leave my car unlocked nowadays. Honestly, one of the only places I'll leave mine is the store I used to work at, which is an old
Oh, there.
like country store that quite legitimately the owner has a 45 Smith and Wesson
Oh, nice.
revolver that she keeps in the safe because I would know because when I was working there, she showed me, it was like, look, if anyone shows up does something stupid, here's where the gun is at, Brian. You use it. I don't want any
Yeah.
of these girls using it. You use it.
Run up, get
All
down.
right, will do.
So here's another idea, and I found it because I found a cool picture.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
post
the
it.
pop-up camper vans.
Yeah, that's what the Expedition cosplay guys that we mentioned earlier used. They actually have since gotten rid of that. They sold it. I don't know who bought it. I definitely could not afford it.
Yeah, I couldn't afford it either. Because all the stuff they put on it, that would be like that'd be like a house.
Yeah, well, so they actually, it seems like they built something new because I found that they have built a one of these. It's like one of those
Oh, nice.
trailers that you can
cool.
pull on. And that's like the new thing they have.
Yeah, my buddy was telling me about like towing a teardrop camper, the really small ones. I've thought about that, but I don't like towing stuff
Yeah.
just because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's why I was saying with the trailer back truck. It's the downside, unlike a normal RV, is that you have to go all the way. Or you have to get out of the vehicle to get the into the trailer part, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Recently bought a truck.
Now, Brian, what would your
Oh,
vehicle of choice be for a hypothetical zombie apocalypse? We'll go with that
A
instead.
hypothetical zombie apocalypse. I would honestly probably opt for like a 2005 to 2006 Toyota Tacoma four-wheel drive with a camper shell because you can easily use some sheet metal and come and cover the camper shell to the main cabin of the truck, so you can basically cut the window out and make it a little bit wider and have access to the camper shell for sleeping and gear storage. They get decent gas mileage. There's a billion of them out there in the world, so the
yeah.
parts are easy to find. Four-wheel
Okay.
drive, they're super reliable. You can beat the hell out of them. They can go a lot of places. So I know a lot of people kind of stick to like old cars and stuff because there's not a lot of computers in them and stuff. And while I get that, um, like I said, it
There's
really
some
depends
nice
on location. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it depends on location. If I'm in a city, I'm gonna opt for a quick car so I can get in and out of places really fast, or like a motorcycle or something. But if I'm out in the country, trekking long distances, I might want something more with four-wheel drive capability. So another platform would even be surprisingly like a Subaru Outback or Forester wagon with all-wheel drive. You got the back seats and you got plenty of storage and sleeping locations. All-wheel
Yep.
drive, so you still have the capability to go off-road if you need to. You just put beefier tires on it, and it's got the suspension and clearance for it. Because funnily enough, because I'm a car guy, I would know this. The Subaru
perfect.
Forester is
We've
built
got our car
on the
guy.
Subaru Impreza. The Subaru Forester is actually built on the Subaru Impreza WRX chassis, which is a rally car that's street legal.
Oh
So
wow.
it already has the suspension set up for off-road racing, which means it's
Oh.
got a good suspension set. So you just put on a little bit meatier tires, to grab the off-road a little bit better, and you're honestly good to go. And they get like 32, 33 miles per gallon if you're driving an easy, but if you got to step on it, they got like 275 horsepower to all four wheels.
Yeah.
So you've got the horsepower to get out of somewhere if you need to at the same time.
That
Because
makes
that is
sense.
something to think. Because so it's something to think about in the wasteland that not a lot of people think about. Because gas is going to be important, so you don't want like a big old powerful
Like,
V8 or something that's going to
yeah, like
suck
Mad
gas.
Max.
You want something that lets you fall. You want something that's going to let you go a long distance.
Yeah, that's what I
So
was leaning
that's why.
towards, Tacomas and stuff.
Well, that's why I was leaning. In a real world scenario, you would almost want to lean more towards the import type cars that even
Okay.
if even if it's a modified car as far as modified engine goes, they get better gas mileage than big old American V8s do.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
you can have a car that's equal power to a V8, gets better gas mileage, and is more reliable. So something like a
So,
Honda or Toyota, even if you modify the engine, it's gonna last you a long ass time.
okay. That makes me curious about whether or not mine would last a good while, because I think I've got like a V6 or V8 or something, and I
So
don't have to, generally speaking, I don't have to fill up, um, like if on a normal day, on a normal week, I only fill up once a week. Um, but
now
if
how
I'm
far are you
going long
driving?
distance, then like maybe when I get there and then when I leave kind of thing. It depends on the distance though.
Well, like I said, the other issue you have is you have a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Parts are gonna be hard to find. They're not
Yeah,
as
that's the
reliable as
big
some other
issue.
cars are. So that's why even in normal daily drivers and stuff, I tend to lean towards cars that get good gas mileage, are reliable. Even though I like my fun, powerful cars as well, when thinking about future longevity and even bailout situations where stuff is going to be hard to find, I know my car can go 30, 40,000 miles without an oil change if I had to do it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking driving because it's a Toyota. See, an American V8, once you hit more than 10,000 miles with no oil change, you're pretty much going to blow your shit up and your engine's toast and your vehicle's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
But-
something that a lot of people don't think about is
Yeah.
things like that. And
Also,
things like that are what's going to keep you alive.
yeah, I just wanted to remember to say this, but the commenter mentioned that their younger brother got a truck that has a lock for the gas so that people can't siphon or like
Yes.
sabotage it.
That's
And then he has a
ingenious.
spare key behind the wheel, the back wheel.
So
I forgot about
I
the
wouldn't
magnet.
actually do that. I don't put a magnetic hide a key on any of my cars because A, car thieves look for that. They check the inside of wheel wells and underneath bumpers for hide a keys.
Okay.
And B, it doesn't make sense because if you're away from your vehicle, what I do is I actually have a spare key that is only unlocks my door that I keep in my wallet,
Yeah.
which is on my person at all times. So if I lock my keys in the car, guess what? I have a key that all it does is unlock my door
Yeah.
and I can get into it.
Yeah. My problem is that I have a I have like a fob, and it
Well, yeah,
does
that's what I'm saying.
have
Like, I
a
have a fob key.
yeah, it
I
does
have a
have a
fob key.
retractable manual key.
Yeah.
But like
Your
it's
switch.
not convenient to like I have them together at all times because it's not convenient to have them separate.
Well, and that's also why I say like so my key has got a fob that's built into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the door key that I have is actually just a piece of plastic from Toyota that's cut in the shape of the key that all it does
Oh.
is unlock the door. If you try to put it in the ignition, it won't do anything. It will not turn the car on.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
even if
I'll
someone gets my
probably
wallet and
do
tries to
something
unlock
like
my
that.
door, but the other cool thing is you can go to places like Walmart and just get a door key cut. That's going to cost you $20, $30
Yeah.
to do that. It won't run your car, but another thing to think about is sometimes what I do at the airsoft field, I'll purposely lock my keys in my car because I know I have that key in my wallet that unlocks the door.
Yeah.
Because I can still get to my stuff, but if I lock my car keys in the car, guess what? No one's breaking into my car and driving off with it.
Yep.
Because, I'll put my keys in the trunk
Oh, okay.
because I have a trunk release in the car itself.
Yeah. Like
So
I do actually have a spare fob, so I could snatch
if
the
you have a
key
spare
off of
fob,
that.
you could keep the fob. Yeah, exactly. You could snatch the key off that and put it in a wallet or something. Like I said, that's just what I do because it's what
Yeah.
my dad does. And
Okay.
I learned from him that it was just a good idea because, like I said, if you lock your keys in the car, you can always unlock the car, not to break a window or try to, do the weird thing with an antenna and pop the lock or whatnot
Mm-hmm.
and might break something. You can just very easily get into your vehicle while it's still secured.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Mad Max booby traps that he has for like you have
Yeah.
to turn your car or turn the key a certain way and buttons, otherwise the car will explode.
Yeah.
Smart.
I need to watch that again.
It's good.
I need to
Especially,
watch it the whole series.
I just saw the DHL truck you put up. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well,
fantastic.
so I was thinking earlier because we were talking about the ambulance stuff, especially the van version, and then I was like, well, what about UPS trucks and FedEx trucks? And all you'd have to do is like redo the inside. The issue
Yeah.
though is that because I work with UPS a lot, the issue though is that they have no heating and air, and
Yes.
they
Yeah.
have like holes in the bottom of the truck to, I guess, let liquids out, and then the roof isn't always metal.
Yeah.
Depending on which one they're driving, because there's a bunch of different variations too. So I mean, as cool as it looks in the picture with the DHL and all that stuff, and the idea behind the UPS and whatnot, I'm still not sure as to the viability of it. Outside of maybe it's got decent gas mileage because, they deliver crap all the time.
Yeah, my buddy drives a UPS truck, and it says it's terrible with handling. You have to be really careful.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't particularly want, like things like that. Now, if you want something that is more space for more people and things like that, um, a good thing to watch for is, like you said already, an ambulance
Yep.
isn't a bad idea. Or what you can also do specifically is find the what is it? The Forest Service ambulances, which are built
Oh, yeah.
on F-250 or F-350 diesel trucks. So they have off-road suspension. It's a diesel, and diesels, I don't know if y'all realize, get like 65 to 75 miles per gallon. You
Good
can go
lord.
like eight or 900 miles on a tank of diesel gas,
Yeah.
which is why it is more expensive gas, but you can go damn near 1,000 miles on a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we used to.
So realistically, the best thing to look for in an apocalypse is a diesel vehicle because it'll also burn just about any type of fuel. You can
Okay.
mix gas and diesel and run a diesel engine.
Yeah, I was actually saying earlier before you joined, how viable would biofuels be
Well,
if you could find
perfectly
something that
viable,
runs it?
especially if you have a diesel. A diesel will run on biofuel.
Okay.
You
Cool.
can take used fry oil, filter it, and put it in your diesel car.
Oh,
It's just a
nice.
different filter. It's just a different filter,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
also easily found at an auto parts store.
Yeah.
So, and you just happen to
and you
drive
can
around
get
smelling like
you
French
can go
fries.
to like, yeah, you can go to like fast food restaurants and stuff to get the fry oil
Oh
and
yeah,
whatnot.
and
Like
they
it's
just
gonna
give
be
it away for free.
easily accessible.
Yeah, and they give it away for free.
Oh,
So you can literally
okay.
stock up. Like, yeah, like you don't even have to pay these places. Like, hey, can I like have your, you
Your
know,
oil.
leftover cooking oil? They'll be like, yeah, if you want it, take it. It's
Yeah.
just less money because they have to pay someone to dispose of it. So
Okay.
if you take it, it's free shit for them.
Yeah. So how
So it
long
benefits
does
everyone.
that last, or is that kind of a permanent solution compared to gas, which have a shelf life?
Well, diesel, in my opinion, is better because it's not as pure as gas, which means it has a longer shelf life than gasoline does.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And because you can also, like I said, use cooking oil if you filter it. You've got to filter it like 4 or 5 times, so you do have to build a filter setup, but it's very
Okay.
easily doable.
Yeah.
Basically, any diesel engine will take, this eco diesel, whatever what they call it.
Yeah.
But like I said, all you do is you take used cooking oil and you filter it a couple times,
Hmm.
and boom.
Okay.
Well, excuse me. I think you have to add a little bit of ethanol to it, but that's also easily found in like Lowe's and Home Depot and shit.
Yeah.
So it's not like you still can't make your own fuel. And like I said, because diesel is not as pure of a fuel source, it actually is dirtier than gasoline, so it's less filtered than gas.
Oh.
Because that's actually how you get gas. Is gas that comes from the ground is actually basically just diesel.
Hmm. Okay.
So it's only filtered like once or twice to go into like diesel vehicles, but it's filtered like 8 or 14 times to go into cars.
Oh
Like
wow.
your standard gas engine. Yeah.
So,
So
but there
diesel
are
is a much easier.
cars that run on diesel too, correct?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of cars that run on diesel. Volkswagen is huge for having diesel powered cars.
Yeah.
You can get a Volkswagen Jetta in a diesel.
I almost did.
So
Almost.
I almost got a Volkswagen Bug that was turboed with a diesel.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Well, correction. Every diesel engine has a turbo, for those of you who don't know. But this one
Okay.
had a bigger aftermarket fun turbo.
Yeah. Fun turbo.
So, like, yeah, it's a bigger turbo to make more power for the car.
Yeah.
Because
So tempting. Fuck. I'm looking online right now for ambulances, and there's it's the Vanbulance style, a little bit bigger, and it's only $13,000.
Oh.
yeah, like,
So tempting.
or honestly, one of the best things you could ever get if you want to transport a decent amount of people and have comfort and it has a diesel
Fire
is,
truck.
guess what? A school bus.
Yes. Convert a
Yeah,
school
can
bus
get- you
or
can get
a
school buses at
public transport
auctions.
bus.
And guess what they
Yeah.
run on?
Diesel.
Diesel.
Yep. So you have one of the best fuel sources that will be good for the longest amount of time, and you can armor up the outside. And guess what? Diesels have a lot of torque, which is what gives them the ability to move. So you can also use it for stuff like hauling things,
Yep.
ripping doors off of buildings, yada, yada, yada. Because you can have all the horsepower in the world in an engine, but if you have no torque, you're not going to do anything with that horsepower.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I'd
Torque is what
imagine
makes your
if we had set
torque is what
ourselves
makes the
up
wheels move.
somewhere, we would probably have like a fleet of vehicles for specific purposes.
Ooh.
Well, in a perfect
Yeah.
situation, yes, but in a realistic situation, you're only gonna have like one vehicle per person.
Yeah.
It's whatever they brought. So you're just gonna have to make do with what you have. Like in my case, I probably like if shit hit the fan, I would, and I was getting out of town, and
Yeah.
let's say my parents weren't, I would take my dad's Toyota Tacoma
Yeah.
because four-door, four-wheel drive, V6, maintenance is easily done on it, good suspension. I can go anywhere I want with that vehicle.
Yeah.
You know,
My parents
it's
recently got an
almost
Audi
300
truck,
horsepower. Interesting.
so I don't know how viable that would be. I can't remember the model off the top of my head.
So Audi is another issue. The same thing you have issue with the German. It's more of a luxury brand, so parts
Yeah.
are gonna be more expensive and harder to find. I like Toyotas, Ford, Chevys, and stuff like that for trucks because parts are very, very easily found,
Oh yeah.
especially Chevys.
If I get a truck,
Any
I'll probably
junkyard
get
in
a
the world,
Tacoma.
Here, I'm gonna
you
post
know,
up in the Discord. I found out what I would love to do if I get a paint job for the ambulance.
Mhm.
Is remember in Resident Evil 3, the movie where they're in like they have the convoy.
yeah, and they have an ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the. I'd love to be able to if I can find someone to do the paint job for Raccoon City paramedic. I'm like, fuck, that'd be cool.
Well, you don't even need to do a paint job. You could do a wrap, and that's cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
All I need is that. Here, let me open up Discord real quick.
Wraps
But yeah,
are very handy,
it's-
considering
it
I've
goes
worked
back
in that
into-
too.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
it goes back into.
Yeah,
it's-
we've got a laminator and a big printer and all that stuff for my work, so we can probably do that. We've done it in the past. We had a plumber who is based in the same building, and we made
Yeah.
him his it wasn't a full wrap. We made him like a
It's
sign.
like a hood wrap or something, a sign for his door.
Yeah,
or something
but
like that.
my
Yeah.
my uncle's or my uncle up in Gloucester, he has done
Well, my
he
neck
did
of
a
the woods.
full wrap for one of his other trucks.
So, like I said, wraps are easily doable
Mm-hmm.
to do stuff like that if you want a quick thing that looks the way you want it to look.
I found
And the cool
school
thing
bus,
is-
too.
Oh
And
yeah,
the
I
cool
see.
thing is if we're talking about future, basically Wasteland apocalypse types events, if you piss someone off, you can rip a wrap off and it changes the look of your vehicle, and now you don't look like the same vehicle no more.
Yeah. They'll
So
never know.
Change the license plate.
Exactly.
And
dude,
oh yeah,
Wasteland using
changing out license
Dude,
plates would be like the norm.
Why? Okay, so hear me out. Why would you need a license plate if it's the lace plate?
True,
Wasteland? Why
just
would you
don't
need a
even
license
have them in the
plate? So just
first
rip the
place.
bitch off.
Yeah,
Exactly. Use them for armor.
use them for
armor
other
against
stuff.
melee combat, or whatever you might be, protection. Use it for that. Don't keep it on your fucking car.
Yeah. Well,
no
it
reason
wouldn't
for
be
it.
the most effective as armor, let's be honest. It's a thin layer of
Well, I'm
aluminum.
talking about more for like you put it on your arm if someone's gonna go like at you with a knife or
Yeah.
something to give you ability to stop from being cut is what that's used for.
Oh,
You're not
yeah.
gonna use it to try to stop a bullet. I'm gonna use it to try to stop someone from stabbing me. That's
Yeah.
what that's for. I've got Kevlar and real body armor to stop me from being shot, but a lot of Kevlars and stuff, a knife will go through it. Well, guess what? You put a couple license plate behind a simple Kevlar body armor piece. Now no one's gonna stab you through your body armor,
Yeah.
and it's pretty light too.
I watched The Walking Dead. I know that thin sheet metal is bulletproof.
Right? Oh my god, that
Fuck
killed me
this
every
guy.
time. I was like, bro, my 9 mil will go through that shit. That AR is definitely going to go through it.
A strong breeze will go through. It's thin sheet metal. Well, I guess it goes
Yeah.
into vehicle customization for the apocalypse.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a
So-
bunch of examples on here.
Yeah. So, like I said,
it depends
just
on the apocalypse. If you want to just get the fuck out of town, like
if you want to
don't
just get the fuck out of town, you're not going to worry about armoring your vehicle. You're
Yeah,
going to
you're
get
not
the fuck out of town.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you get to your bug out location, you can worry about, okay, if there's people looting and shooting and doing shit like that, then yeah, I might want to think about armoring my vehicle a little bit.
Yep.
The simple chain link fence over the windows. You can, put some sheet metal on the outside, or even if you're really smart like me, you undo your door and slide it in between the door and the door panel itself, so it's hidden armor, so no one notices that your shit is armored. And you can fit half-inch steel plate in your doors. And then guess what? The air is not going to go through half-inch steel plate. Neither is an AK.
That reminds me of it was.
Well, that's probably what they do for official like government vehicles and stuff like that.
So they do a little bit more than that. Since steel is so heavy, they actually use a mixture of composite Kevlar. And the idea is with that kind of stuff is the fibers slow down the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So you will have sheet metal, but you will also have Kevlar because Kevlar is lighter per square foot than metal is. So they'll have a mixture of armored steel, but that steel doesn't necessarily have to be enough to stop an AK. If you've got 3 layers of that thin metal interwoven with 5 or 6 layers of Kevlar, well, that shit's going to stop and pretty much anything up to a 50 BMG.
Yeah.
So you've got a pretty decent armor for a vehicle without sacrificing a lot of weight. Now, when you think about armoring vehicles, that's when you need to think about starting to modify your engines and stuff for more horsepower so you can still move at the same rate of speed.
Because
now,
the more crap you put on it, the heavier it gets.
Exactly. Which is also why diesel is a great option, because it has a lot of torque and a lot of power. So let's put it this way. A stock Ford F-250 diesel truck can surprisingly pretty much run down a Camaro ZL1.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have the horsepower, but it has the torque. So it takes off faster, or it can if you build boost, which is what your turbo is for, is to build boost. And also on the big end, it still has that torquiness, so it's still going to pull harder.
Yeah.
So diesel, in my opinion, in a true apocalypse, is going to be the way to go for any vehicle you're going to look at wanting to find. You're going to find a diesel-powered vehicle.
So,
because you can use dirtier fuel, and it has more power, and you can go a hell of a long distance on it.
Is it possible to convert cars to diesel, or is that kind of not an option?
It's an engine swap. It's an engine swap. You have to find a diesel engine.
So what, 30, 45-minute job?
Depending on the car, I will be honest, depending on the car, something like, say you found a wrecked Volkswagen Jetta diesel. It was wrecked in the back end, so the engine's fine, and you have a gas Volkswagen Jetta. Well, that's a really easy swap because
they're the same, basically.
Exactly. All you're changing is the engine, so all you gotta do is undo the electronics, undo the transmission, and undo your engine mount bolts, and you pull the bitch up, and you put the other one back down, you connect everything else. Everything else is the same. The transmissions are the exact same.
Okay.
It's just the engine. So that is a relatively quick swap. You could do it in about 3 or 4 hours. If you know what you're doing, you could do it in 3 or 4 hours. If not, it's going to take you a day or 2.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I don't know what I'm doing.
What are some common like diesel vehicles that just you can get on as an everyday person, as opposed to being somebody that like has it per their job or something like that?
Honestly, the most common things you're going to find are diesel trucks and diesel Volkswagen cars.
Okay.
Diesel Volkswagen cars are the most common diesel-powered car in America, is Volkswagen.
Okay.
So if you're going to go with a car specifically,
not
Volkswagen's the way to go. No.
We're not sponsored by Volkswagen.
No.
No. Like I said, it really is just the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
because like I said,
I guess the difficulty is getting them.
They are harder to find than your standard gas-powered engine.
Yeah.
But you're going to find more diesel around because people in cars and stuff can't use diesel to power their normal cars, so that feels to be left alone.
So when it comes to gas shortages and stuff, diesel's going to be more available.
Off. Yeah, everyone's trying to go for gasoline.
Exactly.
Now, other than armor, what other modifications would you do given a general apocalypse? End of the world sort of
utility.
Yeah, you probably definitely
Utility,
want
you're
to
going to
get.
go suspension. You're going to want to do a suspension. You're going to lift your car off the ground a little bit. You want to have shocks that can handle a decent amount of travel, which is how far the shock can move up and down.
As well as off-road
Well, and
capabilities.
that's the reason why
Yeah.
and that's the reason why. So you can handle some bumps and going through, ditches and stuff like that. Because it's not necessarily cars don't get stuck in like ditches and stuff because of lack of power. It's because their wheels have no traction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a taller suspension will give you that travel to get your traction and get out of stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Also,
one of the
look for something with
trucks pictured.
all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Those are your two best options
Yeah.
because all-wheel drive will sense if a wheel is losing traction and slow that wheel down until it grips.
Yep.
Or
Yeah, I have
four-wheel
an
drive,
all-wheel. That's
obviously you have
why I haven't had as many
So-
issues getting stuck and stuff.
Exactly. I personally prefer a two-wheel to four-wheel drive option, flicking a switch or whatnot and turning it into having all four wheels turn, because that also means, say, you've got to haul ass through some underbrush or, somewhere all across grass or whatnot. You're going to be able to move a hell of a lot faster if all four wheels are pulling than if only two wheels are pushing, and you could be sliding around corners and stuff and your back end's trying to go out if you only got, your rear wheels or your front wheels
Yeah.
going. Well,
I mean,
if
I
you've got
had
the
a...
four wheels, you get better traction.
Now, I've generally had a good experience with my all-wheel, but I had one incident where I did get stuck in a ditch, and I think the main issue there was the angle and the slope.
Yes, which
I
is why
wasn't
prefer
able to get
four-wheel
out
drive.
because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is why you can prefer things like four-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm. If
Those
it were
options.
more of a straight, if I had gotten in there more straight on, then I probably would have been able to pull out without much issues. But because I was at an angle and like one whole wheel was stuck in the mud, basically, it became difficult for me to pull it out, so we had to pull it via someone with a four-wheel truck, basically. But yeah, four-wheel is definitely probably the best way to go, but all-wheel isn't bad. You just have to know what you're getting into.
Yes, exactly.
Also,
I think
merch.
for me.
Oh.
Okay.
Go.
Just a couple things I'd probably add to mine is what I currently want to add to my current vehicle is I'd love to add a ram, or not a ram bar, not like the super big aggressive ones they have on like cop cars, but something to protect your lights.
What do you mean you don't the ones pictured in these images?
Well, the ones pictured in these images would be dope as hell. The problem is, again, going back into if it's heavy, it's gonna weigh down a little bit. But something to protect the car, the engine block primarily.
So what you can do with that is, if you're actually concerned about the engine block, you can just add sheet metal around the engine bay, because that's as easy as welding or screwing it into the frame itself. You can do that to protect vital components of your engine, aka your radiator, fuel lines,
your battery,
like
your radiator, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Put it around important places, and your car is more likely to survive impacts, and things like that matter, and the cars still keep functioning well. So,
I think
that is.
I think the most important thing, though, I would upgrade in my car to survive the zombie apocalypse: cup holders.
If I'd be impressed if there was a car out there that didn't have them, but then again, UPS trucks don't.
That's true. You can't say
there's actually plenty of cars that don't have cup holders. Off the top of my head, Ferrari, Lamborghini, mail trucks, certain UPS trucks,
Yeah.
and certain semi trucks even actually don't have them.
Yeah.
Also, vehicles that are specifically designed for work purposes do not have cup holders. If you're looking to really go off-road and off-grid, you're looking at things like ATVs and things like that. That doesn't have, and something like a side-by-side four-wheeler, which is an ATV, all-terrain vehicle, things like that don't have cup holders, which is honestly something else that people don't consider for the apocalypse that actually make great apocalyptic vehicles, because they can get in and out fast. They're meant for off-road. They can travel fast as hell.
Yeah.
And they have a small fuel tank, but that means it doesn't take a lot of fuel to get them up and running again either.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So while you have to make more stops for fuel, you also have the ability to just bust through the tree line and not worry about it because they're designed to go through rough trails and across rocks and shit like that. They can
Yep.
do all that.
Yep. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the issues with stuff like the bigger vehicles, like buses and whatnot, while they do run diesel, they have the issue of it's a big giant rectangle of metal that you're
Yeah.
kind of driving around, and you can't
The
make
handling
tight
of it.
turns, and you
Well,
know.
and that's why in a perfect world, if I had time to prepare for an apocalypse, what I would do is I would get a Ford F-250 diesel Super Duty extended cab, extended bed. So it's got
Okay.
an 8-foot bed, a cab that I could comfortably sit 6 adults in with no gear. It's a
Gotcha.
diesel, put a suspension kit on it, lift it up a little bit, put some meteor wheels and tires, armor things around the engine, put a brush guard on the front of it, and pretty much call it good. And if you really want to get fancy, you replace your windows with Lexand.
Okay.
What's Lexand?
Uh, like plexiglass, but it's lighter and thinner.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that's
so
what I
if it
think, too.
shatters, so a lot of race cars use them because they're
Yeah.
lighter, but also if they shatter, it's not like you're getting stabbed with glass.
Yeah.
When they break, they don't have sharp edges.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
makes
that's the other thing
sense.
to bring up is yeah, getting glass in your face if you hit something or you get shot at is not fun.
No.
No.
So either completely, like you said, replace it with that material, or taking your windshield out, putting in whatever else, or while in your
Also,
vehicle
if your
have
windshield
AI,
is
like
is cracking, if you have something like maybe it'll be better to have that material for your windows because it'll probably is it more durable to like impacts and stuff like that compared to normal windows? Because like
So that
you
is
can
the
get
trade-off.
away
It's not
with
as
little
it's not as
stars, but
durable. It's not as durable
okay.
as the safety glasses in the window and the sides of your cars. It is not as durable as that.
Okay.
However, it's lighter, and you can also cover, you can say you can cover your windows with, you know, do the math. You've seen the apocalypse movies. You've
Yeah.
seen, I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the uh, Punisher movie that was released like 10, 12 years ago, where he had that
yeah,
sliding piece of sheet metal
Yeah.
that came from the
That's what
roof
I was just
down that
thinking
has
about.
his slat to look through. You can do stuff like that. And even if your shit breaks, you're still majority protected. But if you have Lexand, you slide that down. And even if something breaks through it, I mean, the biggest thing if you're traveling in vehicles, you're probably going to be sleeping in your vehicle as well. So
Yeah.
you want to be protected from the elements. Because
Okay.
if elements get in, then your gear can get fucked up. You can start
and
to
you
get.
can
You
get
can get
fucked
fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. It's yeah, and I
So,
think
I mean,
from
I
this,
know it's a thing that not a lot of people think about, but it's because a lot of people don't think about it, is why it's like, oh shit, if you actually take a minute and think about it, it's a lot of really smart decisions.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
And honestly, one of the best types of people to talk about modifying cars for an apocalypse situation is someone who modifies cars for demolition derbies,
Yep. That
oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
because
I've
they
always
design cars to take impacts and
Yep.
to live.
I've always I've always wanted to go to a demolition derby, or actually to be in a demolition derby too.
So, like I said, like if you'd go to a guy who modifies cars for demolition derbies and go like, "Hey, I want a car that could take a hit, but
Yeah.
doesn't look like it," he'll be like, I'll see what I can do." But he's going to be able to strengthen the frame of the car. He's going to be able to make sure that the car will take impacts from other cars.
Okay.
And generally, it doesn't cost that much money because they're all on a budget. Because it's not, you don't win a lot of money in this sport. So you want to put a lot of money into the vehicles. They do it for
Yeah.
cheap.
Hmm.
Yep.
And then, like, even in normal circumstances, if something were to happen, you'd be less likely to total your vehicle. The other guy might
Yes.
not be so lucky, though. But,
Exactly.
Yeah,
hey, I came
Exactly.
prepared.
that's why I recommend everyone get a tow ball
You
hitch
know,
on the car if they can, if it has the port for it. You don't have to
almost
tow
any car in
anything.
America has a hitch option right now. I will be honest. It might not seem like it, but like my car has an option to put a hitch underneath it.
Oh,
it will come around and underneath the bumper and then stick out.
mine doesn't, but
You'd be
that's
surprised.
because,
The
it's a
reason I say to
Mercedes.
get them is because from every accident I went to when I was a police officer, and there was someone rear-ended someone else, and everyone who had a ball hitch on the back of their car, they drove away
Yeah.
because when it's the back of their car, all it does is just push them. It doesn't hit the bumper or the frame.
That's what happened to my
Exactly.
last car.
And pushes them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
and it's
I got
pretty
in
cheap.
an
You can get them on
accident and
Walmart
they
pretty-
were fine because they had a ball hitch and my engine was caved in.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I think they're under $50. I would recommend. I need to get one too.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend. But now, Brian, as far as what would be the simplest modification someone could do with the little amount of like experience and I wouldn't say time if you got some time, but as far as experience, because not everyone can do an engine drop, not everyone can take out
Yeah,
the
dummies
windshield of the car, replace it
first
with-
Wasteland car.
So Dummy's first Wasteland car is really easy. Smaller wheels, bigger tires.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can find with easily searchable material either via internet or even in a book what is known as the lug displacement, which is the measurements in between the lug nuts that keep your wheel on.
Okay.
If you find that, you can find a wheel that it might be smaller than the wheels, which is the actual metal portion of your wheel. Now, your tire is around your wheel. A lot of people mistakenly call, "Hey man, I like your tires," or "I like your wheels" when they're referring to either the rubber or the metal. Well, the wheel is the metal portion of the actual tire,
Yeah.
of the wheel, and the tire is the rubber portion of the tire.
Yeah.
So you get smaller wheels, thicker tires, which is easily found. Don't be wrong. You're still going to spend some money doing that, but you can get knobbier, more aggressive tires and your average car that will give you more traction. So even if you have to go off-road, you've got better traction.
Yep.
That's one of the easiest upgrades if you're expecting some shit to go down and you don't know what kind of the roads are going to be like. That's one of the easiest things you can do.
Okay.
Because a bigger tire, the advantage to having a bigger physical tire itself, rubber, is what you do is you actually let some of the air out so it doesn't puncture as easily.
Okay.
So it will have more give if you have to drive it over
That makes
top of
sense.
something.
I mean, I think that's
So
something
if you're
that's
driving-
recommended with
if you're
normal
driving,
sized
like-
tires is to let out a little bit of air so that the
Yes.
puncturing isn't as likely.
Yes. So, like I said, when you're driving off-road, actually, for instance, when you're in North Carolina, you can drive on certain beaches, which is where you see this often. You let out your average car tire has anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds of air in it. Well, and that's including off-road tires. Well, when you're driving on the beach, you go down to like 15 or 20 pounds of air, and that's it.
Okay.
So your wheel flattens out, spreads the weight further out so you don't sink into the ground, but you also have better traction because there's more of those knobs digging into the sand or dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, shit's less likely to poke through it because it has a bit more give to it.
So
that's a really, really easy option for vehicles if you're not sure where you're going to be driving.
yeah, I know that normally in snowy environments they use chains, if not specialized tires. So
If
what
not
is the
specialized
difference?
tires that have
What's the
So,
difference between
chains
that
can-
and going on like beach environments with sand?
the chains are more for if you're coming across ice, to be
Okay.
blatantly honest. It's not going to help you any in the snow.
Yeah, I didn't
when
think
you
so.
hit ice, it's when you hit ice, the chains will actually bite into the ice and crack the ice a little bit and then use that to propel you forwards.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Specialized snow and ice tires actually have little tiny metal shards sticking out like little needles. And that's
Okay.
actually what your car rides on, is those needles. And those needles bite into the ice and press it forwards.
And that's probably less potentially dangerous than using chains because you don't want to break the ice too much.
Yeah, the only car that I
Well-
know handles well on the ice is a Zamboni, and that's about it.
Well, you'd actually be surprised. There is a drag strip in somewhere in America near the Canadian border that during the winter, so during the summer, it's a boat drag strip. And during the winter, when the lake freezes over, people take muscle cars. They put ice tires, big old ice tires in the back, and they drag race on the ice.
That's funny.
I know it made me
They
think.
do
I
like
don't know if
180 miles an hour in a 6-second quarter mile on the ice.
I would still
Woo.
be really hesitant to do that, just because it's like I don't want to. I don't want to get fall through the ice, as we found out in Wasteland 3.
Yeah, the intro to Wasteland 3, all your dudes are in like specialized vehicles for ice and rush or harsh environment and stuff.
Yeah.
And they send a guy, but they come up to a dam and there's a big ice field because it's frozen over. And they send a guy out to verify, essentially, if it's like thick enough to drive over. And he goes over and he like stabs it with a big metal pole, and then he like gives it a thumbs up, and then they all start moving. And then they get ambushed, and mines explode, and all sorts of crazy crap happens.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's often the weird overlooked things that will help you the most in situations.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'd probably take my feet out.
I mean, in my case, I don't know as much as I should know about like surviving in the wilderness and shit, but I know vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the specialty, is I can be like, hey, I can get anything running if I need to. Is it going to be done the right way? Probably not. But will it run? Yes. Will it pass inspection? Fuck no. But guess what? In the Wasteland, you don't need to pass inspection. You just need the bitch to run.
Fuck your inspections. Fuck your license plates. Fuck your license.
Yeah, exactly.
Like having a license, period.
Like, I can make a vehicle go. Now, is it going to go the way it needs to? We'll find out.
Find out more at 11.
It's like, whoops, I reversed everything.
It is 11.
You're gonna put the bitch in reverse to go forward, but guess what? It still runs fast as hell and drives for a long distance. That's all you need, man.
Oh, another thing would be, I would assume it would be recommended to learn how to drive manual over automatic.
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised. Unfortunately, the manual transmission is disappearing. More and more manufacturers are actually dropping the manual transmission altogether, and pretty much in the next 15-20 years it's probably going to disappear completely from vehicles. It's going to stop being manufactured, because
so people, collectors and stuff, are pretty much going to be the only ones that have them, other than people that already had them.
Car guys like me who like manual transmission cars are going to be about the only people who actually drive them.
Gotcha.
And know how to operate them. But said it really is just a toss-up.
Yeah. I mean, automatic, I imagine, is still viable in most circumstances.
It is viable, but surprisingly enough, it's heavier.
Oh, really?
An automatic transmission is bigger, bulkier, and heavier and harder to work on than a manual transmission is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I can take a big old work van, like you see people driving around, like those big panel vans or whatnot.
Yeah.
With a manual transmission, drop it out myself. It weighs about 55, 60 pounds. It's heavy, but not that bad.
Yeah.
Automatic transmissions in that same van, about 190 to 200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And you need a special, you need an assist with dropping it.
Yeah.
So there's advantages and disadvantages to it.
So is it because of the electronic elements and stuff that make it automatic?
Yes and no. There's also more gears and servos in an automatic transmission.
Okay.
Because it has to automatically do everything. And also the disadvantage in automatic that says part of your transmission fucks up in your automatic transmission and you lose third gear. Well, that means your car is stuck until you fix it. Well, with the manual transmission, that's cool. I can just skip third gear while shifting and go from second to fourth.
Yeah.
I can still drive it. I just skip the gear. And you can't do that in an automatic car. So there's disadvantages and advantages to everything.
Yeah. I would imagine that this is tech that's being tweaked on, though, and they're probably one of the reasons why manual's going out of the way is that.
In a way, yes, and in a way, no, because there's no workaround that problem for automatics. There is none. There's simply not one. So it's sacrificing reliability even when something's broken
Yeah.
for the luxury of not having to worry about pushing a clutch in, shifting the gear manually, and then off the clutch and on the gas at the proper time. There is a learning curve. Now, don't get me wrong. I can teach someone to drive a manual in about 3 hours.
Mhm.
It's not a difficult process.
No.
Honestly, the hardest thing you're ever going to do is starting and stopping without stalling the vehicle out. That's the two biggest things. Once you're driving, shifting's super easy.
Okay.
Once you're actually moving once you're actually moving anything above 15 miles an hour, it's super easy to drive a manual. You hardly think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
The
always
hardest
heard
thing
about
is
that. That like
because at
once you're on the
stoplights,
road and going, it's like
yes,
you don't think about
because
it.
when you're at a stoplight and the light turns green, you have to be on the brake and on the clutch when you're stopped. And then when you go, you have to go up from clutch and brake to clutch and gas, and then slowly pushing on the gas while you're releasing the clutch.
Oh.
And if you do it at the wrong time, you stall.
Yeah.
So that timing is really the biggest issue, because once you're going, you don't have to be on the gas to shift. You just push the clutch in, off the gas, shift it in the gear, go off the clutch, and then you can go back on the gas again.
Okay.
So it's a slower shift.
I can see
but it
why they
works.
made
It's called
automatics.
granny shifting. Yeah. It's because you just have to pay more attention to it. Honestly, a manual transmission vehicle, you're less likely to get into a wreck in because you have to pay more attention to driving.
Yeah, that's true.
So in my opinion, they're actually safer vehicles because you do have to pay attention to what you're doing more. And you can't just mindlessly press on the gas. It's like, okay, I have to think about shifting. I have to think about what my RPMs are at. What is my speed? Is there a stop coming up? There's a few more things you have to think about. And while it all sounds complicated, it's really not.
Once you get used to it, I thought driving in general was complicated. And then you just do it forever.
Then you
It's like,
just do it, and it's like, oh.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I get it. It's really fucking easy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll probably try to learn it at some point just to have that knowledge, even if I don't really like drive manual on a normal basis. If like under an emergency circumstance, I had to.
Trevor. I will tell you this, Trevor.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to purchase another vehicle here in the next year or so,
Okay.
and it's going to be a manual. And when I get that, I will be more than happily teach you to drive a manual if you want me to, because it's not a difficult thing to learn.
Yeah, sounds
good. The biggest
good.
issue you have is if you grind gears, you're going to burn your clutch up.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but I didn't burn my clutch up when I was learning to drive a manual car. And I drove the car for 2 years after I learned to drive a manual in that car, and then I sold it, and the dude said the thing was fine. Like, he was a mechanic that bought it, and he was buying it for his daughter. She just turned 16. She wanted a manual car, but she didn't want to spend a bunch of money. So I was like, I had my car for sale for $1,500, and he's like, look, I got $1,200 cash. I was like, done. He popped the hood. He goes, man, he popped the hood. He checked everything. He goes, this thing looks great. I said, you'd be surprised. This is the car with all these parts on it that I learned to drive a manual. He's like, no way. You cannot tell. This thing is kept so well. I was like, yeah, I didn't burn anything up. I'm not an idiot. He goes, I can tell you're not an idiot.
That's good.
But
always know to take care of your cars, even if they're automatic. Yes. Take care of your cars.
Yeah, but also the advantage to having a manual car is not a lot of people know how to drive them. So if someone wants to steal your car, there have been many cases where people go to carjack someone and realize it's a manual and they have to get out because they don't know how to fucking drive it.
What do I do?
Because it's a manual. Exactly, because it's a manual.
Yep.
There's only something like, it's less than 10% of people in our age group actually know how to drive a manual transmission.
Oh, wow.
I can drive it, but I'm not gonna be like super Mr. High Speed about it.
Like, see, and that's where me and you differ. Like, to call myself out a bit, I used to street race like a son of a bitch. Like, the car I sold him, the reason why that engine looked so good is because that was the engine I had pulled out of the car and replaced with a much more powerful engine.
Yeah.
That used to, I literally... Oh, dude, like, I'm not gonna lie. So the engine that was in my car while I drove for the majority of its life was actually the 1JZ from a Lexus IS 300 with a big old 85mm turbo on it that made about 485 horsepower to the wheels. Now, mind you, this is in a car that weighed 1,900 pounds, which means power to weight ratio. I had more power to weight rate, or I had a better power to weight ratio than a Challenger Hellcat. I could chase down Challenger Hellcats on the interstate and bust by them.
That's
And
funny.
if we pulled from a stoplight, I would drag them until we would hit about 130, 140. Then they had more power, so they'd catch me on the big end. But
Yeah.
in a quarter mile, I could outrun a Hellcat. I could outrun any police car that's in any police fleet because power to weight ratio is what gives you speed.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, actually, out of curiosity, here's a question for you: is there anything? Well, both of you. Is there anything in your car now, or that you've done in your car now, that you would say, "I'm glad I don't have to do that when the apocalypse rolls around"? For me, here I'll kind of answer. For starters, I try to have my car organized so I can kind of access stuff pretty easily.
Yeah.
So on the back of my headrest, I have like a crash kit, I need to get road flares, flashlight, a first aid kit for trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and then I carry like a gas can and some other stuff in my car. It's not really an upgrade, I would say, nothing I had to physically do to my car, but just how I have it situated now.
So,
is there anything in you guys' cars?
So with my car is not organized, but I do have at any point in time a change of pants, a change of shirt, 2 jackets, at least 3 liters of water, and I have a set of tools that if my car breaks down, I can get it back up and running and back to a house so I can properly fix it.
Yeah.
Hey,
I have that.
Everyone to do that too.
I
Yeah,
mostly
need that.
just
I
whatever.
also have blankets. So I also have blankets, and the reason, my reason for starting to keep like food and blankets in the car is because me driving around with my son. If I
Yeah.
break down and it's cold, I want him to be warm. If I have water, he has something to drink. He can be hungry. It'll suck, but he'll live.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Human body, even a child can go about a week without food and still be alive. Well, I
Yeah.
got 3 liters of water. I could ration out 3 liters of water, no problem.
I
And I quite often have more than that as far as like drinks to go in my car.
Yeah.
I also keep a couple of pocket knives in my car. I also smoke, so I have a lighter. So honestly, in an emergency situation, say I crash off the edge of a cliff, in my wallet, I have a multi-tool that's got a blade, a saw. It's got like a socket wrench inlay on it that will fit 6 different sizes of bolts. I've
Okay.
got my lighter for my cigarettes. I have water that's in my car that even in a car accident most likely is not going to rupture. So I have the ability to make fire. I have the ability to cut things, and I have the ability to drink water without having to filter anything. That's the basics for survival. I could survive for damn near 2 weeks just on what's on my person and in my car at any given time.
Yeah, and I recommend everyone should do that as well as for your car.
I also always carry my backpack with me, and in my backpack, I always carry a first aid kit, 3 spare lighters, and both of my battery banks. So I have a 4,500 milliamp battery pack and a 4,000 milliamp battery pack.
Okay.
So I can charge my phone or even my work phone. On those 2 alone, I could charge them up to 4 times or 5 times.
Yeah. I honestly have not done much.
4,000 milliamp and my 4,000 milliamp battery pack turns into a hand warmer. If
Oh,
I
wow.
flick the other switch on it, it's a hand warmer / battery bank. So I have the ability to keep myself warm or keep my son warm, start fire, first aid kit.
Yep.
It's a lot of basics. I also keep electrical tape in my backpack. Electrical tape can work great for emergency bandages,
Oh yeah.
helping build a shelter. I keep 2 or 3 rolls of electrical tape in my car at any given time. So it's ways to attach stuff as well that it doesn't take up a lot of space and it's super usable.
Yep.
Yeah, I usually keep sleeping stuff in my car too, like a bag, some blankets, especially for when the winter season rolls around. Like you said, I put blankets in my car.
I don't keep like a sleeping bag or anything, but I have access to a small throw blanket that's in my trunk that I can access through the inside of my car. I pull down the center, my center seat, and it has a little door that goes into the trunk. And right at the entrance of that door is where I keep the blanket at.
Okay.
And even if I don't, I keep 2 jackets that are winter jackets in the back seat. I also have my plate carrier in my back seat.
I was about to say, you probably got arms and armor.
Exactly. So, like, I have armor. I don't always have my gun on me, but I have armor. So I have a knife, I have body armor, I have 2 flashlights, one on my work belt, one on my plate carrier. And guess what? My plate carrier lives in the car, so a flashlight lives in my car.
Yeah.
If I have my gun belt on, I have a second flashlight, and then I have my gun. I also keep about 30 rounds of spare 9mm ammunition in my backpack at
Yeah.
any given time. So if I have my work belt on and I have my gun, well, guess what? I have whatever 17 times 2 is, it's like 30 something rounds
Yep.
of self-defense 9mm, and then I have 30 other rounds of full metal jacket 9mm. I can protect myself pretty well with 60 rounds of 9mm,
Yeah.
at least enough. And I also have class 4 body armor that will stop AK armor piercing rounds.
Yep.
So worst comes to worst, I have the front plate of that on. Someone starts shooting at me, I can either throw the whole plate carrier over top of my kid or slide the back plate out and put it over top of him,
Yep.
and he's protected. And if I'm facing the threat, I'm protected, and I have a way to engage the target as well.
Yep.
I'm also looking at getting a concealed carry gun. So I get a concealed carry gun. My work gun will basically live in my car, which means I will always have a gun. And if I have concealed carry, I'm always going to have that gun. So I'll have 2 guns.
Yep. Yeah,
And I
my
always have-
circumstances
I
are
always have
a
multiple.
bit more bare bones due to work.
I mean, I always.
So I
also
basically
always
got the
just keep a
basic
couple
stuff.
pocket knives.
Huh?
So I also just happen to keep a couple pocket knives in my car at any given time. You can
Yeah.
buy, it doesn't have to be a good one. As long as it's got a sharp edge, you can keep it in the center console of your car or in the door of your car. But just having a knife, if something happens, it's better than not having one. A
Oh,
knife
yeah.
can be used for cutting, shelter for shit. You can use it for hunting. You can use it for self-defense.
Yep.
It's so great just to have a blade. And you don't even have to spend, a lot of money on them. I happen to
No.
spend a decent amount of money on some of my knives, not all of them. My normal pocket knife that lives in my pocket all the time is about a $30 knife. Not the most expensive, not the least expensive, but it works. And it's
Yeah.
a knife.
Yep.
Any knife is better than no knife.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I got my Leatherman, I was kind of like, okay, why did I never have this?
Oh, they're great. I have a mini one. I wouldn't mind getting more of a full size one.
Yeah.
But I guess kind of going back to vehicles, here's another thing. Alternative vehicles when the gas and diesel eventually run out. People forget bicycles
Yep.
and other things. Bicycles.
Well, honestly, I would, if it's getting to the point where you have to rely on bicycle transportation, things like that, I wouldn't even bother.
No.
I know how to ride a horse.
Yep. Which is
I'd
the
go
thing I
everywhere
was
else that
gonna, I've been wanting to kind of get into. So I think, I assume
grew up
all
on a horse
three of
farm.
us
I know how
have
to ride
horseback
horses.
riding experience in some capacity.
My mother was a state champion barrel rider back
Yeah.
in the 80s.
I
my
did
sister was
hunter
born.
jumper English back in the day, and see,
So my
merchants.
grandparents have 4 horses in the Quarter Horse Hall of Fame. I grew up on their horse farm.
yeah,
I know how to ride a horse.
yep, and we largely know how to take care of them as well because of our experiences. So,
Exactly.
like a random person might be like, "Oh, I'll just ride a horse," and they'll get a decent distance probably, but at the end of the day, if they don't know how to take care of it, because at the end of the day, it is like a living animal,
Yeah, is it
Yes.
living?
then it's not gonna last them.
And if the
No.
horses do not respect you, they will show it. They
Oh,
will bump
yes.
you off. That's
Yes.
why it's funny, and even in The Walking Dead, they go back to that. They go from driving around in vehicles to horseback riding in carriages and wagons and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or I
Yep.
can't remember what episode it was. I think they had like a couple horses tied up, and they were towing a car, or the car was the carriage.
Carriage. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as far as horses and
True horsepower.
you can't. No, the average. If you go to a wild horse and try to ride it, it will kick you in the face.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh
But
yes.
if you
But
a
living in the area that I live in, and even depending on where I go, It's Virginia. There's a lot of fucking horse farms and a lot of horses that have
Oh,
been
yes.
ridden before.
It's true.
I live
Yeah,
down the
I know how to put
street
a
from a
saddle. I know
stable.
how to put a saddle and a bridle on a horse, and if I can do that, guess what? I can ride the bitch.
Yep.
Because I also know how to approach your horse respectfully.
Yep.
And as long as you do that, and the horse realizes, hey, he knows what he's doing. He's cool. He's gonna be okay for me. We'll go where the fuck you want.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you don't know how to deal with them, or if you run up on them, then yeah, even a well-trained horse, if you try to like just run up on them, they'll like kick you and freak out.
Oh, yeah. And they sense your fear, so if you're scared,
Yes.
they're gonna
Yeah.
be scared too. And they don't even know that it's necessarily you that or them that you're scared of. They think you're scared of something, and that they should also be scared of whatever that something is, even though it's them. They just don't think it's them.
Horses are weird.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But they'll show it, and they'll react, and
other
give
than
you trouble if
bicycles-
you're like that.
Other than bicycles and horses, I'm trying to think of other. Now, the other thing I can think of is I know when we were back in college, Trevor and I, people would ride longboards or like big skateboards a lot.
Yeah.
Kinda
Yeah.
Get around.
For
but if we're
short
talking long
distances.
distance, yeah, your pretty much only other option is some sort of like horse or animal or live
Animal, yeah.
Yeah.
Mule pulling a carriage, whatever it may be.
Because
And
there's
some
not a lot of
horses
options.
are so depending on the horse also affects things a little bit, because some horses are more built for heavy
Hauling
lifting
pulling
and stuff
things,
like that,
right?
and
Yeah,
pulling, and
right.
others are more built for travel purposes, essentially.
Yeah, just like cars. Some are better at racing. Some are better at more like
Hauling.
manual labor and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's pretty much
Clydesdales are
whatever-
very well known
Well,
for
and that's
hauling
the other reason why
capabilities.
it kind of comes full circle for the car thing. One of the best things you can ever get for the apocalypse is a diesel work truck, because it's meant to haul heavy loads. If you don't
I was
have
gonna
heavy
say-
loads in it, it's
I was
gonna
gonna
last
say a
forever
diesel-
because the engine's not working that hard.
Yep.
The ultimate
A
vehicle.
lot of
would be
diesel-
a-
You
Would
know,
be
a
a
lot of
diesel
diesel
power-
trucks, a lot of diesel trucks, people don't realize a diesel engine doesn't give out till damn near 1,000,000 miles. Well, your average gasoline engine gives that after about 300,000. So it
Yeah.
lasts
Yeah.
3 times as long. And you can go so much farther on a tank of gas that in the long run, a diesel vehicle is actually cheaper to own and operate.
Okay.
You pay more upfront cost and more fuel costs, but in the long run, the thing lasts you a hell of a lot longer. There are diesel trucks from the 50s that are still on the roads that have over 1,000,000
Yeah.
miles, and if you maintain them
Yep.
with a basic level of maintenance, which isn't hard, change the fuel filter, change the oil, change the oil filter, change the oil in it, make sure you change the spark plugs every 200,000 miles, which isn't hard to find.
No.
Any auto parts store is going to have a billion different spark plugs. You just got to find the ones you need.
Yep.
It's going to run.
Yep.
I thought you were gonna say the ultimate vehicle would be a diesel powered horse. That combines both.
No, it's a diesel work truck, because they're meant to pull heavy loads, and if you don't weigh them down, then they're going to last forever because they're not working as hard as they were even designed to work.
Yep.
So if you're putting less strain on it than it was designed for, it's going to last a hell of a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But
And the
yeah.
best part is, most old diesel work trucks already have lift kits and big wheels on them.
Yep.
Boom diggity.
So it comes full circle to what I said earlier about easiest thing to upgrade on a vehicle for unknown conditions: suspension, or
Suspension
Wheels
and
and tires.
wheels.
and suspension.
Yep.
Now, Trevor, what
If you
would
have
be your
those two
ultimate-
things-
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Trevor, because I know I asked Brian this. What would your ultimate apocalypse vehicle be? Assuming that you could just go up and just pick it up off the lot right now. Like,
Oh.
right now, not assuming you have to buy it outright.
Well, I've already thrown out the whole similar to the image with the trailer attached to the back of the truck thing.
Oh yeah, that actually would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
'Cause it's already it even has a decent beefy ram bar on it too.
Yeah. So, or even if
My
it
whole
didn't
issue with
have that,
trailers in
it
an
would be the
apocalypse.
living space capabilities of it and
So
the like ability to get around most environments.
Yeah.
I would say yes, but the issue you're gonna have with the trailer is it's longer and it's other things to worry about than towing, aka people can ram it and knock it off the side,
Yeah.
and there goes all your living space and all your supplies.
No, he
By
means the one
having
that's
something
attached
like
to the
a
truck.
big old truck bed with a camper shell on it that's attached, and you just slide from the back window into the camper shell, well, guess what? You can't knock that off.
No.
The bitch is
Yeah, that's
attached.
that's the other option is the top
Like I
shell.
said, a super cab truck with a long bed that's got an 8-foot bed. I mean, yeah, the truck's longer, so it's going to be a little bit harder to turn around tight spaces, but you also have more space. When you
Mm-hmm.
think about the apocalypse, you only need so much creature comforts. I'm not
No.
looking for headroom. I'm looking for the ability to store supplies and have
A bed.
a modified, you know, fuck, what do you call them? Cot in the
Yeah.
back with a sleeping
Yeah.
bag and a pillow on it, or even a backpack or a jacket for my pillow and call it good. I can
Yeah.
sleep with that. One of my things that I have to think about is glasses.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 'cause you have glasses. Yeah.
I wear glasses, so
Yeah.
something I have to worry about. One of the things I would rate is an optometrist shop. Because
Yeah.
guess what? It might look weird as shit, but I can jack one of them optometrist glasses that's used for checking your fucking. They put the different lenses in, find the lenses I need, pop the bitches in, and I can see. I'll look like an idiot, but I fucking can see. And there's a billion optometry shops all over America, and I guarantee none of them are gonna be rated as often as a fucking Walmart or gun store is. I gotta
Yeah,
see to survive, brother.
Yeah, so I was laughing. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm as soon as like shit hits the fan, I'm going to Walmart." Like,
Yeah.
you and everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking-
Whereas you
I was
have
talking-
me, I'm waiting 2 miles down the road from Walmart to ambush your ass with my guns and be like, "Fuck you, give me the shit." I'm not
Yeah.
going to Walmart for it. No, dude, you're giving me the shit, or I'm dropping you.
I would just go.
Yep.
I would go if I had to go to Walmart. I'd be like, I'm. It's like I would just go and like take toys and stuff, like Legos and shit.
You
'Cause
take
everything else gets
completely
cleared out,
useless
food and
things.
everything, but it's like, I'll give me some Legos because that shit's expensive. If I
It's
got
gonna be
nothing to do
worthless
'cause
in
the
the
power's
wasteland.
out. I'm trying to think. I was gonna say shit.
Oh, dude, one thing I'm gonna stock up is I'm gonna hit a convenience store and rob that bitch of all the cigarettes because that's gonna use its fucking currency. You kidding me?
Actually, yeah.
I'll walk in.
Gas station
Dude,
stores too.
I'm not even joking, and it might sound cold to say it, but I'll walk into a place and drop the dude behind the counter and take all the cigarettes and all the shit I can grab and get the fuck out.
What if he's just doing his job?
It's survival. It's survival.
Actually,
Apocalypse
actually,
scenario. It's an apocalypse scenario. If there's someone behind that counter, sorry, dude. Not your day.
No, you're dead.
a lot of
I gotta think about myself.
because I was looking at some prepper videos and magazines and stuff like that, and actually a lot of them say stock up on things because it can be used for barter, like cigarettes, liquor.
Yep.
Even if you don't partake in smoking
Yeah, if you don't-
cigarettes,
I don't-
having
I don't
tobacco,
smoke.
having cigarettes, that's trading items, brother.
Yeah,
Oh,
get
yes.
Currency.
The Ziploc bag or not Ziploc. Get the vacuum sealed bags of tobacco and roll and no, I was gonna
Rolling
actually
papers?
yeah, rolling papers. But actually, this is a good question for you, Brian, because I asked Phoenix because he didn't know. What's the shelf life on cigarettes?
So a shelf life on cigarettes isn't actually very long. Because
Really?
you're actually, yes, unless you happen to have a humidor. Because the
Okay.
tobacco has to have a certain level of moisture in the air, but not too wet where it molds, but not too dry where it dries out. It needs to be a little moist, surprisingly enough. So a pack of cigarettes, the reason why you have packs and why people smoke them so quickly and go through them is because, well, you don't need to keep them in a humidor like a cigar does or anything like that.
But they
But
can go
honestly, the people who smoke cigars are going to be the best off because they're going to have things like humidors that automatically keep pressure and humidity, where it needs to be, and they're going to be able to conserve their tobacco for a lot longer. You think, we see Fallout and like all these cigarettes are like, oh yeah, these cigarettes are 100 years old. I'm still going to smoke it. No, dude, you're going to die from the mold that's on that shit, or it's going to
Yeah.
just be turned to dust by that time. Like, are you
You
kidding
light
me?
it
A
up
pack of smokes, a pack of smokes, honestly has a shelf life of about 2 months at most. 2 months
that's longer than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
So I
at
guess
most, and that's like if you smoke like reds, like just
okay.
straight tobacco. If you have
Yeah.
like menthols or shit, you're talking about like 3 weeks, maybe 4, and it's not good anymore. It's gonna make you sick when you smoke it.
Really, I did not. Have you ever
Because
smoked a
what's in
stale
the
cigarette?
have I ever smoked what?
A stale cigarette, or one that was like bad
Yes,
like that?
yes, it made me vomit
Ugh.
because I was smoking mold.
Yeah.
Oh,
It makes you vomit because you inhale mold smoke.
Gross.
that doesn't sound fun.
No, it's not.
But
It's
actually, yeah,
not fun at all.
good to know. Now, Trevor, it's up to you if you want to kind of, if we still want to talk about cars and vehicles and stuff like that, or we want to kind of go, move to a different topic.
Um,
Um,
I
I'm
mean,
actually gonna hop out of the chat real quick. My girlfriend is texting me and yelling at me because she got out of the shower like a half hour ago, and I was supposed to call her when she got out. And even though I
oh,
told her I was in the
okay.
Wasteland chat, so I'll be back in the chat later, depending on if y'all are on or not.
All
let's
right.
do
I'm
end up
not
in the
off work
doghouse
until
now.
2:30 in the fucking morning, so
Yeah.
Okay, I got
whenever
you.
late
I
y'all are on,
understand.
I'll hop back in. But I'm gonna hop off here for now, guys.
Okay.
Okay, chat with you, man.
We'll
Good
see you,
insight.
dead
I
one.
appreciate
Yeah, no problem. Later, guys.
Thanks for coming
it.
back.
Later, stay safe.
Um, hmm. Well, I don't know
Unless
because
you and I
like,
want to talk specific.
well,
About vehicles and stuff.
motorcycles came to mind, but I feel
Oh
like,
shit, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
yeah, I feel like in terms of knowing the ins and outs of them, Dead were
That'd
still
be a
here.
lore
He might
question.
have known more. But generally speaking, they leave you a lot more vulnerable than a car would, but you're able to maneuver and fit into tight spaces better. You don't have
Yeah,
as much storage options. Um,
exactly. It's a bit of a trade off. You
yeah,
trade speed for vulnerability
yes.
and maneuverability because yeah, you can zip through. If there's a huge stack of cars
You can
and
just
you've
go
got a decent
around.
bike, you can go around or go through and you're fine.
Yep.
But
And
again, the problem is
like
that you pretty much have
laws will
whatever's on
no
the stack.
longer apply because I know in the United States at least, motorcycles are not allowed to weave through the traffic like they are in Europe.
They're not allowed to, but they
They
still do it
they do it
anyway.
anyways, but
It's a dick move.
yeah, but in an apocalypse scenario, it wouldn't even matter because it's like, who cares?
Yeah, who
Um,
cares?
but yeah, vulnerability would be the major thing, and storage capacity. Um,
Yeah,
but
because
getting
you can get the
around
side saddles
quickly.
and stuff.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can get like side saddles and the big. I've seen the big long distance bikes. They have the big compartments, but at that point, it's like, well, at that point, just get a car.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Warlord, and I think Warlord's mentality with it is that it's more for the the intimidation factor. It adds to his war armor intimidation factor and stuff like that. It's not so
Yeah,
much for utility purposes compared to, oh shit, here comes Warlord. Like, you can hear him coming, you can see his crazy bike, you know.
I mean, you can with certain motorcycles and the dirt bikes, you can get to a place that cars can't.
Exactly.
So you hear that, and you roll off, and you're like, oh shit. Like in Mad Max, there was a scene where it's just those motorcyclists. They all have like dirt bikes.
Yep.
Now I don't have a lot of experience. I know I've ridden a couple dirt bikes before. They're fun, but again, the same rules apply. Like you're very vulnerable.
Oh yeah.
But I've heard
I've driven
the
a
engines are easier to work
four-wheel
on.
ATV.
Oh, ATVs are fun.
Yeah.
I really want one. Actually, no, take it back. Apparently, Mom and Ron actually got one.
Nice.
So I got to drive it a little bit. So hopefully, yeah, next time when we do a party at our house, we'll be able to drive that around. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had that when I was growing up.
Yeah, my uncle has
Yeah, that's
some.
another vehicle we could have brought up is ATVs.
Yeah. Well, I think we did talk about them in a specific capacity, but I think it was more in the terms of the big ones. I don't want to know it.
Yeah. Now for it again depends what you're doing. For the countryside, if you're in that area, it's pretty useful.
Hmm.
On the road, ATVs aren't super fast. They can get up and go. They're speedy.
They're better for forested environments and
Yeah, they're
stuff.
better for areas where cars really can't go, and you have more storage and more stability because it's four wheels
Yeah.
than a motorcycle. But you can still roll them, and people do, and you can still get really messed up.
Oh, yes.
You
And
still have to
speaking
be
of
really careful.
rolling, some people with like off-road buggies and stuff will have roll cages.
Yeah, where those engines are pretty well protected, so pretty much even if it flips over, it's not like in video games where the car flips over and then the car explodes. You can just
Or
flip them
just
right
you
back
can
up.
flip it over, back over like it's nothing.
Yeah, yeah, you flip it back over and it's good. So I'd love to get one of those ATVs where it's like a mini cabin. It has like a little pickup thing in the back, or it's a four-seater. The problem is those things are about as much as a regular car.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at a couple. The ones I was looking at were new, obviously, just because they're online, and they're like $20,000-$30,000 for some of the lower ones. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I spent $6,000 on my Nissan, but you can get them used. So it depends what you can find.
Yeah. Um,
You can also use snowmobiles.
snowmobiles. Yeah.
They'd be handy for like certain environments, and apparently they can go across like if you rev them fast enough, they can go across small like ponds or streams or stuff like that. I'm still nervous about doing that. I've seen
Yeah.
videos of do it. I wouldn't because it's a hell of a gamble.
Yeah. You know what would
If
be
that thing sinks, you're screwed.
you know what would be really funny to see people rolling around in? A golf cart.
Oh,
Like it's a
Actually,
souped up golf cart.
we need to make a Wasteland golf cart, like with saw blades and shotguns and shit all over it. That would be hell. That would be super entertaining. That's what I have when I'm an old man. Is get like a golf cart and shoot that up. I think they run off of batteries,
Yeah.
and I think you can get ones that run off of. Well, you can get. It's almost in the ATV category. I think there's mid ones you can get that do run off of gas. But no, golf cart or what is it? Get a weaponized Segway. Just imagine a gang of greasers rolling up at you with the Segway and switchblades.
We're gonna fuck you up.
We'd fuck you up.
And you just pull a gun and you're like, yeah, you brought knives to a gunfight.
You brought guns. You brought knives to a Segway fight. Actually, that actually brings up a good point. There's a really good movie I watched. It's called Turbo Boy, and it was in the Wasteland. I highly recommend watching it for viewers at home. And it has that'd be a cool vehicle too. It's the apocalypse, and everyone in the movie uses bicycles because
Wow.
cars. I don't remember what caused the apocalypse. I think it was a combination of EMP and pollution, so cars became obsolete.
Yeah, I think there was a
So everyone,
TV show or something on Netflix that had like an EMP being the major plot element.
yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was.
I think it was Revolution or something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing trailers for that. Now I've heard it's an EMP going off isn't the end of the world for your car.
No.
I've heard it actually wouldn't affect a lot of things. You still have to be careful.
Yeah.
Um,
Check out this guy
Oh,
with his dragon off on his like weird armored four-wheel.
it's an armored ATV.
Yeah. I can
That's
tell
badass.
he is enjoying himself.
That would be too if I was at Wasteland weekend. That'd be hella fun. That's still my goal is to get not even to just do the road trip, but just to go out to Wasteland weekend. It's like
Oh, yeah.
the mecca for people who like the Wasteland stuff. There's a lot of stuff popping off though, or popping up for different events. There's even one East Coast wise,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like the big, like I don't even the Super Bowl, I guess, because I'm not much of a sports guy. This is like the Super Bowl when it comes to Wasteland stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like you and I have come a long way from from what we've built, from just our armor, from our stories, from what we've learned along the way, just of on
Oh yeah.
crafting stuff like that, just on being in the Wasteland community. I guess it's a weird fandom. I'll say that, or I don't even know what to call it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, because I've met people from all over who like that genre, who are really interested in the genre, and they a variety of stuff, everywhere from accountants, IT people,
Yep.
people who actually have real Wasteland skills like mechanics, doctors, soldiers. It's. I know we've touched on it before. It's a fun take on things, especially using what you have. It's one of those fandoms where it encourages you to be very creative with what you have.
Oh yeah.
It's not like I like the cyberpunk stuff, but it's like all those pictures I've seen, people are spending like hundreds and thousands of dollars on like super expensive clothes. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's really cool clothes, but shit, I can't afford. I don't want to buy that because it's just it's just the clothing I'm gonna wear.
Yeah. And I mean, if you know anything about Wasteland, the best, the most important thing you must know about the Wasteland
Just to have fun.
is to recycle.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah.
Like the sheer amount of recycling you will be doing.
Oh, speaking of, I was gonna bring it up in the chat, but I forgot the name of the show. So the show Burn Notice.
Oh, Burn Notice.
I'll give you a quick synopsis of where again a CIA spy is burned.
Yeah.
Where he gets dropped for the who people who don't know it. He gets burned by his agency. They essentially fire him and they leave him in Miami.
Yep.
And he's kind of stranded there, and he has to figure out, figure out who burned him and why, and B, make ends meet. So
yeah,
he does a lot of recycling and improvising with what little he has. So in one of the episodes, he talks about, I think he's protecting someone, and he's talking about doing a DIY upgrade to his car that isn't overtly like, yes, I am a armored car. So one of the things he does is puts phone books in between the panels of his car to help, it's not, or to help with some ballistics, or to help give you some protection. Now, at the time of the show, phone books you could probably find pretty easily. Nowadays,
I mean, they're around, but
they're around, but they're not super hard. They're not super easy to come by.
Yeah.
Because again, no one really uses them because you can just look people up online. I remember specifically having to go through the whitelist pages for businesses or people, and weird, like you'd read this book, and you would have your name and your phone number, and it was really weird. Your family's phone address. It was really strange, but yeah, he put those in between the panels of his cars. He put something. I don't think it was phone books. He put something in front of the motor, the engine block, to protect it. I think something to protect the fuel line.
Here's something, just go off the phone book thing. Yeah. And kind of, this goes into a little bit more things you should know about the internet and how people interact with each other. It's completely off topic, but I just figured I might as well say this, get it off my mind. So, people, and it gets slightly political, people talk about doxing and stuff like that a lot. Well, what people don't understand is that most of the information that you can find on somebody is completely public access because of things like Facebook or phone books.
Oh yeah.
You can just go and say, hey, I'm looking for such and such. I need to know their phone number and their address, and they will tell you because it's all public information. So just keep that in mind before you start accusing people of things.
Oh, not me, but yeah, in
I
general.
know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying in general because it was on my mind, and I was just like, I might as well say it. Um,
Yeah. Something to bring up. Always be careful what you put on the internet too
yeah.
for personal
Um,
information. I had to
so
dial a lot of my stuff back.
you did mention Cyberpunk, and one of the things I did notice when it comes to their vehicles, specifically their nomad vehicles, is that some of them are actually I could see them being wasteland vehicles with a bit more of if they were a bit more rustic and
Yeah, because
had some
for
other
our
elements thrown on them.
because for those at home, because I had to look it up too, the Nomad vehicles are the Nomad class or group in Cyberpunk. Essentially, is just on the road. Like they just travel. They're not
Yeah.
really tied down anywhere. But
Yeah,
you're
and
absolutely right. It is
they're
pretty cool.
outside the city environments.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm looking up some of the vehicles right now, and you're absolutely right. They've got a lot of kind of the things you would see in apocalyptic vehicles. They've got ram bars, they've got armor, they've got storage. So it's kind of like part car that is armored and ready as a weapon, and part storage for living out of. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's very
like
rustic.
obviously there are elements of them that are like futuristic and definitely cyberpunk, um like the way the windows work and everything, but I think that the off-road capabilities of them, the easy to maintain aspects and the armaments and stuff like that, I think are something that you could definitely see in a wasteland style environment.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's a futuristic wasteland. Like,
Hmm.
what was that movie? With Matt Damon in it, and he's trying. Oh, Elysium. In Elysium,
Okay.
where pretty much a select group of people leave and they go to this like artificial planet, artificial ring. And they leave everyone on Earth to pretty much die or do whatever. They don't care.
Yeah.
So they have so on Earth it's set in the future. So they have all these like hover ships and stuff like that. But it's also like people who are very poor, so they're kind of using whatever they can get their hands on.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it's a pretty good movie. I laugh because the main villain uh is the main villain in the movie in Elysium is the same protagonist from District 9. So he goes from like really nerdy, dude in District 9 to this badass in Elysium.
Yeah.
Kind of like Chappie as well, because Chappie I think is set in South Africa. So again, it's a combination of whatever you can get your hands on, while also being set in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be in a lot of these more, I guess, cyberpunkish, whether it be outright cyberpunk or other things within the similar genre, will sometimes have little elements of the post-apo genre in there.
Yeah,
And it's just a matter of, and it's normally something regarding the vehicles or like a culture that exists and stuff like that, and how they like interact or how they live or how they dress, that kind of thing. There's always that
yeah,
tiny element that's kind of tossed in there to give it some little extra um spice, I guess.
yeah. It gives it character rather than just have this very sleek look.
Yeah.
Whenever it's futuristic, that's why I kind of like the aesthetic of the Aliens movies
Okay.
because it's future retro or Blade Runner as well. It's like
Blade Runner
future
especially.
retro. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, Blade Runner especially too because it has the same kind of like it was like if it's like if in the future we still use CRT monitors.
Mhm. Well, Alien, a lot of the
Yep.
computers and stuff are old.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's got that aesthetic, and same with the I didn't play the game, but the game that said it looked like it carried over the same way, where everything's very I don't know, I don't know the best word to describe it. It's one of those things you just kind of have to see to get a feel for.
Yeah.
But I like more of that futuristic rather than the very sleek look. It's like comparing 40K factions to the what's the one group of the very futuristic people? The God, what are they called?
What do you mean?
I'm trying to remember. There's a specific faction in the 40K universe where it's the Tau.
Oh,
That's what I
yeah.
was thinking. The
The
Tau.
space
Yeah.
communists.
Yeah, space communists for the greater good. They're like very sleek compared to the 40K other factions were very gritty, very like, well,
Oh, yeah.
it's the future, yes, but it's also because there's so much war and so much like just constant conflict. Everything doesn't have this.
In the grimdark future of the 41st millennia, there is only war.
I almost thought you didn't know what that was about.
40K?
Actually,
No, I know what
you know more
Warhammer
about
is.
40K than I do. I think you were the one who got me into it. You're like, hey.
I like a lot of the lore and stuff. I don't really play the games very often.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't
curious
do
about
the
it too.
miniature stuff.
I went down a rabbit hole, just watched like hours of YouTube videos of like the basics and the some of the major factions. Like, oh, this is really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
There's even a Wasteland style of it, which is like at the center or in the underground cities.
Yeah,
Where people,
the hive cities.
yeah, the hive cities where there's like this underground criminal element.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of using whatever they can. So it's like 40K armor and guns and whatever, but it's all like post-apocalyptic. It looks really badass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Deathcore of Krieg is a good example, I'd say. Because their entire planet is, its environment is hostile to everything. Like it's just you can't really live there, but they still live there, and they wear gas masks literally all the time, because of it, and it's actually as far as I remember, it's like a part of their culture to wear them, to the point where like they doesn't matter where they are, doesn't matter what planet they go to or whatever during battle, they're gonna have that thing on. And to lose it or to like have to remove it is some sort of disgraceful act or something.
Oh, God reminds me of the Hellgas from
Yeah.
Killzone. Another cool example of futurist, like grim futuristic stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
the main difference, a lot of the main difference between like pure Wasteland and a lot of the other genres that have Wasteland elements is that pure Wasteland is always like, you know, the grungy, dark, and like crude stuff. Whereas Cyberpunk, it's like a little the Nomad stuff is kind of like a break from the tradition in a sense.
Yeah, the Nomad stuff, and also like when you interact with people who are kind of like, I wouldn't say hackers, but people are living like who are kind of below the poverty line, and they're like have like a bunch of scrap computers and they're jerry rigging stuff together.
Yeah.
But it's only a little slice of the bigger picture where you have these really nice, really pretty cities.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, with that's I guess the one common element is that there's in Cyberpunk and some of these other universes there is that kind of like gritty DIY stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not the main focus.
No.
It's like 24/7.
It's always DIY. It's always gritty.
It's always DIY because that's all you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's interesting with vehicles because it's something that we rely on every day, and then all of a sudden, if something were a major catastrophe would happen, all of a sudden, well, your life is on the line, and your car can be the make or break whether you survive or not.
Yeah. And like
I hope my Nissan does well, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of people don't know enough about cars. Like Dead and Wheels, they know a lot about cars, so they're probably going to be fine. But most people aren't going to know as much. So we're going to have to contend with that. That's
It's one of
why
those things.
you should
Go ahead.
know a mechanic.
Yeah, it's just hard to like. Again, I don't think anyone can ever do the lone wolf where they know everything about everything and
No.
be able to survive self-sufficiently. Some people are like that.
I
I'm
could
not.
do
Like
it potentially if I were in a stationary place that I could establish myself and take the
yeah,
time to build up. I could probably
and the
see
best way
myself
to have it
becoming
is
self-sufficient, but when it comes to self-sufficiency while on the road, I don't know enough.
yeah, something that would be a skill set. It'd be easier if someone could teach you. Someone hands-on, get your hands dirty and get in the engine of it.
Yeah.
Because you can. I mean, I can read the manual to my car all day long. It's not really interesting. I'll be honest.
No.
It doesn't have a whole lot of pictures, but if you that'd be a good skill. Same with like medicine. Medicine, you can read picture or you can read books and you can watch videos and whatever. But
Oh
like
yeah.
actually getting in the nitty gritty of it, that's where I learned the best, and that's why I regret. And I guess while people, for the viewers at home, and while you have time now, um, if you can enroll in like community college or actually not even that, YouTube videos
Yeah.
or like if you drop your car off to a mechanic shop and you have to get your stuff looked at, if they let you, ask them to see if you could just watch
Yeah.
to see what they're doing, or intern I guess, or just to kind of see. I used to, when we used to take our car to the family mechanic, not family mechanic, that's not that's a I'm not saying we had this guy on our payroll. No, it was someone we went to all the time.
Yeah.
We looked at all of our cars. But yeah, he would jack the car up. He would like look like put on the lift, and yeah, he would like point at, yeah, this is what's going wrong. But now some of the more name brand mechanics, they might not let you do that just because it's a safety hazard. So if you have smaller stuff, it might be a little bit, or if you have a smaller mechanic, or if you can go one on one if you know a mechanic to ask him to see.
Yeah. I did bring
I
up
thought my
another
car was
Wasteland Weekend image. I love this. It's like
let me see if I can bring it up.
it's the funniest thing. Um I can't I don't even know. It's like one of those little motorcycle or motor it's not a motorcycle, it's four-wheel, but it's like in the style of it, like those four-wheel ones, and he's pulling a little cart.
Oh, I see. It's like a mini Fury Road. Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
God, that'd be. I'd love to just pick the brain of someone who's done these wasteland vehicles, or like Brian said, pick the brain of someone who does demolition derby, customization,
Oh yeah.
and just to see like hey, how do you do that and what you do? Because the other thing too is, especially for a lot of people, they don't, even if they say they don't have a place where they can they don't have a garage they can pull their car into and be like, oh yeah, let me put this on a lift and like take a look and work on it.
Yeah.
Really, because for me, I have to park on the street, but I'd love to get like a mini garage where, yeah, now the hydraulic lift system would be expensive, so probably not
Oh
that.
yeah.
So have it where you have like a pit in the middle, so you can get underneath your car. You just walk down in it. You don't have to like put it up on anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pit or a good jack system. Something like
Yeah,
that.
because I used to change them all the time just because it's easy.
Yeah.
And then I moved here and it's like, well, I can. Well, it used to be cheap, but for some reason, last time I went and changed my oil, they charged me like $60.
Oh wow.
It was like 60 or $70. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, that's
Why?
ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, I think that'd be a good first step for a lot of people. Learn how to change oil, because
Yeah.
that will get you in the nitty. Be safe about it. Make sure your car is lifted up and secure because it's heavy, and really get in the the nitty gritty of it, because you'll become very intimate if you change the oil with your car because you're right up in the or near the engine block.
Yeah.
But look up, because I'm going to do that too. I need to make a list of things that fail most often and what to look for, like your timing belt, radiator,
Battery.
stuff. Battery. Look at the connection of the
The
battery. Make sure
most common
where.
issue I've had was batteries dying.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't
That's
know
why
how
you
good.
carry jumper cables in your vehicle at all
Oh
times.
yes. pro tip: carry jumper cables. If you can afford it, get a those jump packs. I think I got mine at Walmart
Mm-hmm.
for like $50, where it's
It's just a external battery, basically.
yeah, it acts as a giant power brick. So you still have to make like a regular one you use for your phones.
Mm-hmm.
You plug it in your car, and
There,
there's a setting you do where it jumps it, where it'll
yeah,
put a
there
quick current
are
to it.
some crazy phone chargers out there that people have made that will power your car battery. Like they will be used
Oh
for
yeah,
jumping. Um,
I have one of those. It was it's hit or miss. It's been when it came to jumping batteries.
yeah,
But no, it looks like a power brick, and then it comes with a plug that the battery power plugs, and yeah, it's weird. But the problem is if you don't use it correctly, you can damage it. So
yeah,
you got to be kind of careful.
yeah. I just know that like the benefits of living in the time that we do is that technologically speaking, things have advanced to a point where a lot of things are becoming more compact.
Yeah,
Even though they're providing more power in the case of, say, battery packs and stuff. So if you can find something that could alternatively, like if you can find something that's like, yeah, you can charge your phone or whatever device on this, but alternatively you could jump a car with it. Go for it. Make sure you learn how to use it and everything. Make sure it actually
yeah. Make sure,
works. But
yeah,
like
keep the
go for it
manual.
because if the less heavy, big, bulky stuff you have to carry, the better, ultimately. And then it's
Yeah,
just a matter of figuring out a way to charge it. And then that gets into the whole what places are going to have power still and how to obtain your own power. Um, things like that.
yeah. No,
Because like
yeah. A
if
couple.
your car battery dies and like dies, you're kind of shit out of
You're
luck.
Yeah, you either have to replace the battery entirely, and again, good luck. Unless
Yeah.
you, it'd be one of those things, and I thought about it for, I guess,
Like
our original lore.
you'd have to know whether or not you can just slap any old battery in there or does it have to be a
I
specific one to your
I think
model?
it's a certain type. Yeah, I think there's certain types of batteries. I have to
Yeah.
look into that too. Because usually when I last time I picked up a battery, it's like you have to give the make and model of the car. There is in the back of the place. It looks like there's a whole rows of batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it just depends on the size.
And I mean, I guess if you're on the road and you're not able to find a place that would have batteries, but if there are vehicles, like old vehicles nearby, you might be able to search them. And you just
Yeah,
have
like
to
say you're
find
driving.
like your car, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, like you say there's a big old car pile up and people have abandoned their cars and
Yeah.
they've it's like okay, it's abandoned.
And you
And
have
you
a
yeah, you can
relatively
pop
common car, you might be able to snatch some stuff from
yeah.
theirs.
Yeah, you can just pop the hood, grab their battery, assuming that their battery hasn't died, like they left their lights on
Yeah.
or something. And then yeah, you could just hot swap it.
And
Should be
another thing
easy.
is, I've run into car battery problems due to cold. Um,
Yeah.
so you have to make sure to run your car sometimes when it gets really cold, or keep it in
Yeah.
a warm environment.
Yeah, or if you haven't driven in a while, like as my dad says, if you're kind of
Yeah,
stationary, drive your car like once a week or once every couple of days to
yeah,
charge up the battery and the alternator and get the fluids running, get the oil kind of
yeah. Because I've
circulating.
had that happen too, where I went like a week without using it, and it didn't start for a little while.
Oh yeah, same here. I think it was during their current apocalypse because I was like, I really didn't I didn't need to drive anywhere for like a week and a half, and then when it went
Yeah.
to start it, oh nope,
Yeah, I
it
think I
took a
had
little
went
bit.
on a trip or something, so it was prior to COVID stuff. And when I got back, I was like, "Oh no, my car's not working."
Yeah, and that's a terrible feeling because imagine you in the apocalypse. You're trying to get from A to B. You've got your car loaded with supplies. You're just trying to get out,
Yeah,
and then you turn your key and it doesn't start.
yeah,
Like, yeah, it sucks, and that's why one of the places I'd probably loot in the apocalypse is clogged highways.
Oh yeah, totally.
I would just go and just again make
Now,
sure there's no
mind you,
occupants.
I would imagine that might also be a common location for people to start search for stuff.
Yeah,
So you have to be prepared
yeah. You have to be careful. Make sure there's no one
for,
else in the area.
any combat that could occur.
Yeah,
Kind of like the whole Walmart thing.
yeah. Because
Everyone's
everyone's
gonna
gonna go
go
to
to
Walmart.
Walmart. Everyone's gonna go to Costco and all those other places. So you have to take that into account and either get ahead of them on it or come come a little bit later and try to snatch the things people were too ignorant to know how reliable they were. I've actually seen that happen in the recent pandemic stuff, is people have gone and snatched up a bunch of stuff that is no doubt useful, toilet paper and whatnot. But there's a lot of things that people are missing where it's like, okay, this is useful and y'all don't realize how useful it is.
Oh no, you're exactly right. Because people got hand sanitizer, but they recommend using soap,
Mm-hmm.
and you could get dish soap. Dish soap was pretty untouched for a good while.
Yeah.
Because what they told us when I was an EMT is, yeah, use hand sanitizer until you can get to soap.
Yeah.
And I was reading through a couple medical books, and I asked my mom, it's like I was asking her, what should you use for wound treatment? Hydrogen peroxide or alcohol. And
Okay.
she said soap and water.
Yeah.
Like those things are good. They're more you can use it to more sterilize stuff, clean stuff out. It'll work, but soap and water.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
mean,
yeah, every time
anytime
I've
I've
gotten
ever hurt
injured,
myself, I
yeah,
will
soap and water.
use soap and water.
Yeah. Now people did because I was buying up unrelated to COVID. I was like, well, I've got an alcohol stove. I want to see if I can get some alcohol
Mm-hmm.
for the for like some high grade alcohol to burn for it because it's clean. And yeah, it was all sold out because it goes in waves. So, and I'm definitely adding to my notes and be. So once hand sanitizer and toilet paper went out,
Yep.
people were starting to say, okay. Then they went to soap. Then they went to hydrogen peroxide and alcohol.
Yep.
Then they were going for the disposable wipes are also hard to find for a while too. They're starting to come back.
Yep.
And
And
then the other thing too
luckily,
is
a lot of
oh,
these products, in at least in the United States, are manufactured in the United States, so we don't have
yeah,
to worry about imports and stuff like that, and that's why we're less likely to run into issues of shortages.
yeah, we still have to be careful.
Oh yeah.
Stock up when you can, but yeah, I feel sorry for the people who are very isolated
Mm-hmm.
or rely heavily. Now we still do rely heavily on not import, but like transporting from site A to site B with tractor trailers
Yeah.
and stuff.
Semis and all
The
that.
last
Yeah.
the last thing I was gonna say is after people like they couldn't find dish soap, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, people got crafty, and I give them applause. I think that was kind of cool.
Oh.
People started making hand sanitizer out of high grade alcohol that you drink, like grain alcohol.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And because all hand sanitizers is like 3 ingredients. It's like alcohol, like high grade alcohol,
Yep.
some sort of gelatin, which is not petroleum jelly. It's something else that's used, like what you see with aloe. Like if you get a sunburn, it's you can buy that component on by itself
Yeah.
in pharmacies, and then
And not even all
one other thing.
hand sanitizers are gel. Some of them are more
No,
liquidy.
yeah, you can get liquid ones, but people wanted that. Like I guess they thought it had to, but yeah, those all the things to make those things sold out. I thought it was kind of ingenious. I give them props.
Yeah.
Or people were making their own. I wouldn't say, well, not making their own toilet paper, but like using different stuff. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess it goes back into recycling or
When in doubt,
finding.
dig a hole.
Yeah, you gotta dig a hole. Or shit, they send us so much junk mail. Like I was like, well, if I run out of toilet paper, I'll know I'll get some in the mail. It's not gonna be pretty.
You're gonna cut yourself.
It'll cut my booty hole, but it'll work.
Uh,
Uh,
But
But yeah, it's just kind of using what you can with what you know and what yeah. Because
oh yeah,
I'm not even gonna try to pretend to like, oh yeah, I need to swap out my motor or wheels because I don't know how to. I know I could
oh
change
yeah,
the tire, but I don't know how like all this different stuff. So I would do with what I know and what I can find out and what I'm comfortable with.
yeah,
Because I wouldn't necessarily take out my windshield because the energy and the process of just doing that would be a pain in the ass unless I was stationary. Like, okay,
yeah,
I've got a safe place I can work on my car.
yeah,
But if I'm on the road, if I know I'm gonna get in a tussle, if things are getting heated up, if I can get a pair of, or put on my sunglasses and put like a rag around my mouth or something like that,
yeah.
like something to cover my mouth because
I
we
think
were doing. Oh, go ahead.
in terms of windshield stuff and modifications to your windows, even if you don't get the material that was suggested by Dad earlier, the idea of having some sort of plating, or something that kind of covers it over, and like you're able, maybe for the windshield one, like if you could do some sort of retractable system,
Oh yeah,
so that way like
yeah.
protects you a bit better.
Yeah, well, the reason I say you want to be careful, and the reason I would wear eye pro and something to cover my mouth is because
Mm,
if you get in an accident or if you're shooting or something happens in your car,
yeah,
the glass is great because it doesn't shatter like you see in the movies. It's not gonna
yeah.
shoot into you and shrapnel you unless it's an
No, when you
explosion.
shoot,
But
if you
it's the
shoot into
dust.
a
It's that
windshield, it will
dust.
leave a hole with some cracking around it, but it's not gonna shatter the entire windshield.
Yeah, no, but if something like if you hit something or if you're shooting inside or someone's shooting into your car,
Mm,
the glass shards, little tiny not vapor, but like the little tiny glass,
hmm.
it'll really mess up your eyes and if you're breathing it in, it can mess up your throat. So
Oh yeah,
you want to have some sort of if you've got nothing else, if you can't modify your car, eye pro and some sort of like a scarf you can pull up. If you
oh yeah,
start breathing it in, it can hurt you. Want to be careful
yeah.
because
Eye
it's essentially
protection especially. I mean,
yeah
you already have to wear eye protection at all times during like airsoft and stuff. And in a real life scenario, you probably wouldn't be wearing it nearly as much, but there are
yeah I
definitely
won't
going to be times where it's going to come in handy.
yeah if you're like if you're dealing with smoke or if you're dealing
Sand.
with actually yeah smoke glass or any sort of particulates
Hmm.
yeah when we were in the police academy we were shooting we did practice we were shooting inside of a car just to see the effects and yeah it throws up a lot of that powder
Yeah.
so you want to be really careful and you also that's a story for another day as far as fighting with inside of a vehicle that'd be one modification I would do is make sure to clear out your immediate area
Oh yeah.
front and back seat make sure if you like say I'm on the road I need to get out of get out of Dodge or make sure you got something within your close proximity if you need to fight your way out not
Yeah.
say I'm looking for a fight but the fight might come to you and I'd rather you want to be prepared for that you want to make sure and also not even that make sure that you're somewhat distraction free you want to make sure
Okay.
stuff isn't rolling around and falling on top of you while you're trying to drive because
Yeah.
then you'll cause an accident and that's the last thing you
The
want
less
while you're trying
crap you
to
gotta worry about, the better.
exactly less crap you and worry about the better and that's
And
what I'm kind of been doing this week
if you're in the vehicle with somebody, ensure that that somebody is either capable of defending themselves and like helping you, or they're basically in the back seat out of the way.
yeah because you want to make sure you're clear
Yeah.
and they're not distracting you
Yeah.
pretty much have them literally ride shotgun if they can
Yeah, if they can be literal shotgun and take care of the aiming and shooting for you while you focus on driving, then that would be
yeah
preferable.
but you got to be really careful because again fighting in that close area
Oh yeah.
it's easy to flag your buddy or or actually flag them or actually put a hole through your engine block from the
Oh yeah.
inside like in the scene from Bad Boys 2 when they're on the highway and they're driving along and he actually fires off a bunch of rounds into the car
Oh no.
while they're driving I can't remember I think they had to hop no they didn't have to hop out but
Yeah.
uh yeah
I
you just got to be
honestly,
careful
honestly though, I think most vehicle shootouts probably would be uncommon because I think what
Yeah,
people would focus on ramming and running people off the road and stuff like that as opposed to trying to shoot. There might
yeah,
be
trying
some
to.
bold motherfuckers that do it, but like they'd probably end up killing themselves before somebody killed them.
Yeah, as because I've tried it with just airsoft guns when I was
Hmm.
growing up with that old beat up red truck that we had,
Yeah.
and trying especially because it was a manual too, but trying to balance the fact of handling your car and then also trying to fire a gun
Oh yeah.
is really hard
Oh yeah.
while also being worrying about all of the
And
surroundings. Now again, if
and
you have
don't get me
someone riding
wrong,
shotgun with
when it comes to
go ahead.
driving, you can drive with one finger. It's not
Yeah,
that difficult. But when you're in a shooting situation and you're trying to fire a gun whilst driving, even if you could pull off doing the one finger thing with one hand and then the other hand focuses on using the firearm, the problem still becomes ultimately you still have to pay attention to where you're going.
yeah,
So, and I mean that's always the case. One, you could have both hands on, one hand on, a finger on, whatever. You always want to be paying attention to where you're going. Like how
yeah,
many hands and fingers and other things don't matter nearly as much as your eyes and where they're looking. And
because
when you're shooting, it's arguably a distraction.
yeah, and trying to be accurate while doing it too. Now I know
Yeah.
there's some like really super awesome special forces guys that can do that, but the average Joe, you're just gonna be wasting ammo. You might
Hmm.
get lucky if someone pulls up right beside you on your
Oh yeah.
driver's side. Yeah, if you because you're in immediate danger.
Yeah.
You can because and if they're that close, yeah, you can
And
pop some rounds out to
and
get them
there's no
off you. But if
rules against blind firing in
yeah, no,
circumstances
it's the
like that.
wasteland. You can blind fire. The
Yeah.
problem is, going through resources and then having to inevitably trying to reload while driving.
Hmm.
Unless you have, magazines ready to go and they're organized, or you have your buddy hand you on. As
Yeah.
a driver, your pretty much focus would be, yeah, I'd keep probably a pistol ready in case someone got really close and I had to, get them off quick.
Yeah.
But if I'm driving and the person I'm trying to go after is ahead of me, my focus has been just driving.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
drive at high speeds and you make a mistake, like you
You're
turn too
fucked.
quick, whatever, then you're toast. So you got to be really careful. That again, this is extenuating circumstances. I'm not the type is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be literally Mad Max and try to drive, drive people down and run them off the road. No,
You know. No.
no. Now that would be doing the pit maneuver is also not easy. You see the cops do it, and people ask me, "Is like, oh, did you learn how to do the pit maneuver when you're a police officer?" And the answer is no.
Yeah.
The average cop, depending on where they are, the average police officer probably does not go through that class initially. They'll probably go
Yeah.
through it later on,
I mean, I've
but it's
seen
incredibly
clips of
dangerous.
cops purposely placing themselves in front of an oncoming like speeding vehicle, and I mean it's dangerous. Like
I was like a barricade.
yeah, like they'll use themselves as a barricade to prevent the oncoming vehicle from hitting like normal like innocents and stuff on the road.
Yeah, for those you kind of want to have them play chicken and go around you, but if
Yeah.
if they're ballsy enough to try to go through you, most of the time if they try to
Well,
go
you
through you,
you have
it'll
to
damage their car so bad, or they'll flip, or they'll
yeah.
be in a position where they can't speed away.
Yeah, well the police have to like sit in a specific angle so that when the collision occurs, it doesn't just kill them, basically,
Yeah,
or flip them
yeah,
over or
because
anything.
yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into how you place your car and why you're setting up the barricade in the first place. If the guy just
Yeah.
stole a pack of Cheetos from a grocery store and you set up a barricade and he you know flips his car over and goes through a house and kills a family, it's like
Jesus.
okay, why did you set up a barricade? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff with that.
The video
with
I
kind of
think I saw was it was a drunk driver and they were speeding and they were going on
oh
the
yeah, in that
they
case,
were they were driving going the wrong direction.
yeah, in that case, you want to make sure you try to protect,
Yeah.
protect who you can. But yeah, vehicle combat is interesting. I'll say that
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy because again, there's a lot of
It's best to
factors.
rely on other people to do the fighting and you
Yeah,
to do the driving
yeah.
if you're the driver.
Assuming we're because I've there's a couple video games I've played that are pretty decent with it, as far
Yeah.
as okay, where how do I engage? So say you're behind the car and you guys are the classic car chase.
Yep.
You can there's a couple targets you can go for. Everyone's like, oh, shoot for the driver.
Tires.
The tire, yeah, go for the
Engine.
tires if you can. Yeah, go for the tires because yeah, once you go blow out the tires, it definitely impacts your handling and your speed because
Yeah.
you just can't maintain it. You can try shooting for the driver, but with a handgun, trying to hit a basketball one-handed and you're like 45 and you're probably like 30, 40 feet away from him,
Yeah.
it's tough. Again, you're gonna
Going
go through a lot of
going
resources.
potentially is some crazy like 80 something or more miles per hour.
Yeah, if you're going crazy like that. And the problem is if you're behind them, they can shoot in your engine block pretty easily, or they can
Yeah.
shoot at your front tires or shoot you easily because if say you're behind a car and you're trying to hit the driver, you're trying to take out the driver so they crash or whatever,
Yep.
you have to go through the back windshield and you have to miss the A-frames, the things that hold the car up and are very durable.
Yep.
And yeah, and or if you're trying to shoot through the car itself, like say it's a sedan. I'm chasing an exact Nissan Xterra. I'd have to shoot through I'd have to shoot through the trunk or the glass, and then a row of seats, and then the A-frame is in there as well. So it's
Yeah.
like, so if your goal is to totally like, if your goal is to like destroy the vehicle, then yeah, probably just go for the tires. But if you're like, oh, I want to try to save the vehicle, and just grease the driver, it's gonna be a lot harder than it looks in movies where you
Oh
just
yeah.
the hero just one-handed shoots a pistol and shoots the guy in the back of the head. It's like it's very hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's
oftentimes it's better off to be the sniper in a stationary position far away and just,
oh yeah.
you know, do the windage and measurements and then take out a driver.
Yeah, because if you're pursuing someone, there's a lot of things that they can do to deter you or get you off their tail. They can drop a box of nails out of the car and pop
Mm-hmm.
your tires.
If
They can do
if they've
some,
got a van, they could open the back doors and reveal
yeah,
two other dudes with guns.
yeah, or like in the scene from Jormungand where an SUV that has steel plating in the back and two guys in the back
Mm-hmm.
with M6 with like M4s and M16. So they're in a better position than you are, even though you're pursuing them. So
Yep.
if you're like actually going after a vehicle is a lot harder than it looks on the road. So yeah, that's what I say. If you can be stationary, if you can set up like a trap, that'd be pretty easy, or a lot easier than
Caltrops.
trying to track someone down. But there's a lot of things you can do and you can't do. It also depends on the vehicle. So it's a lot of variables it could take in.
Take
But vehicle combat, yeah, there's things you can
take
add to your
advantage
vehicle to
of
help
your
you out.
environment too.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. And
like
also be unconventional. It doesn't
yeah,
always like your only defense isn't I have to shoot at them. You can again
and
drop out
sometimes
nails. You can
a
tax.
lot of the time, like it comes down to driver skills as well.
Yeah.
If the person that's pursuing you or you're pursuing is just a worse driver, then you're more likely going to cause them to make a mistake, a potentially fatal mistake. Whereas if you're a better driver, you won't have to worry as much because you can maneuver better and stuff like that. Kind of, I mean, it's it's kind of a meme because
Initial
it's
D.
well, yeah, there's the whole initial D element. We're
Yeah. Well, no, it
doing
brings back into
slides and
the
stuff like
heist
that,
movies.
and then
Yeah, like
there's
the heist
that.
movies where they're not really using supercars. They're just like literally evading the police.
Yeah.
they're just outmaneuvering them, or usually the wheelman is a way better driver, and they maneuver their vehicle in a way that the police either don't suspect it's them, like they drive normally, they drive like a regular
Oh yeah.
person, or they drive down like these alleyways, or just kind of like just evade them. They're not, honestly, the police car is a better, is an outclasses them in that case because it's faster.
Yeah.
But like I think it was not Heat, the Town, where they
Yeah.
escape in a minivan. And all they do is, they just outmaneuver the police, and they maneuver their vehicle in a way where they can't go down. They take unpredictable routes.
Yeah.
But again, vehicle combat in a city compared to the country, it's all over the place. But
Oh
yeah, definitely.
The other thing that, and you wouldn't really think about it, but so take Return of the Jedi of all things, for example, and the scout trooper scene. I know that when it comes to like stormtroopers and stuff, it's kind of a meme that they're like kind of shit. Which is the weirdest thing if you know anything about the like deeper lore and stuff, especially the scout troopers. They're basically elites, but like
Yeah, they're like they're like elite snipers.
yeah, but in the movies, like, because plot armor and all that stuff for the characters,
Yeah.
there's the scene in particular where Luke is being chased on the speeders. Now, these speeders aren't really, speeders are never supposed to be used in that environment, like a forested environment and stuff. It's always used on tracks more often than not. But for some reason, Star Wars, you gotta have speeders, so. But, but yeah, they have their high speed but low maneuverability is what I'm basically saying. But, so this chase is happening, and Luke is able to, partly probably because his force powers, but also just because he's got piloting experience and stuff like that. He manages to maneuver the speeder in such a way that the troopers following him, trying to catch up with him, are unable to adapt, and as such, they end up running into things. So that's a case of somebody being a better driver. And
because again, it's not always about just
causing situations where the person doing the chasing or something puts themselves in, fatal circumstances and stuff. Because you're a better driver, you're able to do things they don't know how to do, so they panic and they do something stupid and they end up killing themselves for it, or at least wrecking.
Depending on the speed in the vehicle, if you turn too hard, you'll flip your car.
Yes.
I've seen it with a couple cars that at high speeds. I know Jeeps are notorious for it. If you drive at high speeds and turn really hard, if you're trying to make a correction, you can flip your car, which is real bad.
Another thing is
oh wait,
the frame of your car kind of matters.
Oscar Mayer Wiener truck.
Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Yeah, Oscar Mayer Wiener truck. Apparently, if you drove it too fast, it would actually start to like lift up and do a wheelie.
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry, just a side note.
Yeah, no.
An apocalyptic Oscar Mayer Wiener car.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
If you could find one of those things, they're probably in a museum right now.
Probably.
Big in like the 90s and 2000s.
But
sorry.
No, you're fine. The other thing that I think is important, and we kind of didn't really get into it too much when Dad was here, but I think the frame of your car matters. A lot of modern day cars are aluminum framed. They don't really do steel frame anymore, but the steel frame stuff is more durable. You are less, if you have an accident, you're less likely to destroy the frame and therefore total your car.
From what I've heard, though,
I've heard that even if you do flip, you're less likely to actually have irreversible damage and stuff, because it's just a harder metal.
Yeah, and I'd have to look more into it, but I think with a lot of the with newer cars, a lot of focus is on safety. So I think the aluminum, it crumples, which
Yes.
helps protect the driver. But again, once it crumples, it's done.
Yeah.
You cannot like buff that with a steel frame. It's I think because if you get hit, you're more likely to get whiplash or get thrown
Yes.
around in the car. But again, the benefit is the car's a little bit heavier, but it's more durable. So you might be able to shake off something that a regular like newer car could not.
Yeah.
And if that's your only
My
vehicle in the
first
wasteland,
car
that
was a
could be
steel
the
frame.
difference between life and death.
Yeah, the car I had when I was in college was a steel frame car. And that's why when the accident occurred, it was like it did get totaled, yeah.
Wait, the one back in Radford?
The black one. The first
Back in
black one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one from the freak accident. Um,
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah,
I'm
that
glad you
one
were
was a
right.
steel frame. And they even told us afterwards. They were like, yeah, that thing's a tank. So, like, if it they were basically like, yeah, there's a possibility that if it were an aluminum frame, he could have actually been hurt in that accident. But because it was a steel frame, therefore the vehicle is basically tank. It didn't like harm him. My airbags didn't even go off when that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
At least you're all right.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, the steel frame ones. Actually, no, actually, a vehicle I'd like to have in the apocalypse, rather than saying, oh yeah, I'd like an Abrams tank, minivan.
Yeah,
I shit you not, my dad has had a minivan from like the 1990s, and that thing is still going.
I bet.
Yeah, and it's again with minivans because they're essentially the civilian APC because you can take the seats out easily and you can put
Yeah.
so much shit in the back of it.
Oh
You
yeah.
can live out of your minivan.
Oh
As
yeah.
much of a meme as it is, living out your van down by the river. But yeah, they actually I drove one for a little bit because my car was in the shop and I had to borrow my dad's. They handle pretty good. Their fuel mileage is I think a little bit above what my current one is. So I'd say like 25, 30 mpg, depending on the model.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're built like tanks. I think the ones in the 90s are all steel frame.
Oh
So yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, you can live out of that and say like if you want to set it up as an APC, you just take the seats out or leave the seats in, and then you just open up the van door and boom, you roll out to whatever you need to do and come back
Yep.
from soccer practice.
The soccer
Those are
moms.
pretty good vehicles too. Yeah, minivans. I don't remember the again. I'm not a like I've
If you
said
could,
a bunch of times before in this video. I'm not a car guy. So I do not know the make and model of it.
yeah,
All I know is it's from the 90s, like the late 90s.
yeah. One
Wait,
thing's for
I grew
sure,
up in the 90s.
if you are given some crazy, if you are lucky enough to have the opportunity to get your hands on some military vehicles, get it,
Oh yeah.
do it. Like
Our buddy's got
Humvees and
the deuce
stuff.
in half.
The Deuce, yeah, we have a friend that's got a Deuce and a half.
I've heard
The
you
issue
can
with those is that
modify.
they're incredibly slow.
Yeah,
But they are
that's one thing.
diesel.
They're not speed demons, but they're durable as hell.
They're
I think it'd probably be
diesel
taken
and
out
they're
of the Jeep.
durable, but they're just slow as hell.
I thought about souping up in a Humvee. I think that'd be dope.
Oh yeah. Yeah, here's another thing. So civilian Humvees or Hummers have worse gas mileage than the military stuff.
Really?
Yes. For
Damn. Yeah,
whatever
I would rather
reason,
get a military one
the
then.
the company like just I guess decided to make the civilian version gas guzzlers while the military got all the optimized stuff because of their work basically. They
Yeah.
needed it to be better gas mileage and stuff, and they can run it in like literally any fuel. Like you can pump gas, you can pump diesel, you can pump biofuels, anything in them.
Yeah. Same with apparently Abrams tanks. Their
Mm-hmm.
motors are really cool. Where as long as it's flammable, it can run. Like
Yeah.
if you had enough kerosene, you could run an Abrams tank.
Oh
That
yeah.
shit made.
I So this kind of goes into the history. But I remember I think Boxmag was talking about how the Soviets back in the day would run their T-34s off vodka sometimes.
Oh yeah, if you have some high grade vodka, as long as it's flammable,
Yeah.
you can make it run. You're right, Mac.
Yep. Um, but yeah, like I always thought that was interesting. But yeah, if you can get something that runs pretty much on anything, aim for that. But the likelihood of getting access to that is probably lower. So like Dead One was saying, if you can get diesel, try to get diesel. If you can't, then just I guess try to prepare ahead of time, to make sure that you have gas, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you do in the long term when it comes to having to use gas vehicles as opposed to diesels?
I mean, at a certain point, unless you can process or like actually deal with the whole process of getting gas from the ground and refining it,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot you can do from a
Like, I didn't
from an
even talk about
individual.
electric and how
Yeah.
viable that could be. Because that's
Um.
all reliant on whether or not there's still a functioning power grid.
Yeah. I was gonna bring it up. So I found a couple buildings still have their own individualized circuit,
Mm-hmm.
meaning if the grid goes down,
Hospitals.
they can yeah, hospitals. But the other one too, I found out data centers.
Ah.
When I was, low key, I'm not gonna say who I worked for, but when I was a security guard, on the roof of them were these big ass generators
Yeah.
that I think they were diesel. I'm pretty sure yeah, I think they were diesel. There's a bunch of cans around,
Huh.
and I was asking some of the guys, and it's like, yeah, if for some reason the grid goes down, those things will kick on, and they can keep the power going for those data centers.
Okay.
And again, like with hospitals, as long as you've got kerosene and gasoline, whatever the generator is, you can run it.
Yeah.
Once you run out, power's
The
out. So it's like,
downside with
yeah,
generators is that they're loud as fucking hell.
they're super loud.
And they're going to
You can
attract attention.
yeah, you can buy and modify them, but the quieter, not quiet.
Yeah.
Generators are really expensive. I think there's propane generators too. I have to look into that. I thought I saw something on propane generators, but it's the same.
Yeah.
They're not. It's just the fuel source. They're still super loud.
Oh yeah. And
So if you're
in
like
terms
in the
of just
city,
power overall, it's kind of like, okay, you gotta figure out where most of your power comes from. What like, is it hydro? Is it wind? Is it solar? Is it nuclear? Is it coal? You gotta figure out that stuff because what's gonna happen is people aren't gonna be working at these sites anymore for one reason or
yeah,
another.
they're gonna
So you got
be
to
out of
worry about
town
the
working from homes.
possibility of a nuclear plant melting down, for one.
Yeah,
And
that'd be my concern. Is
yeah.
that, and they actually brought it up in Z Nation, a zombie show on Sci-Fi,
Oh, okay.
where there was a nuclear power plant that was about to go, and they had to wrangle up one of the like the last surviving technician to help shut it down because
Yeah.
if we're gonna go.
If I
Now I've heard
believe there
they're
is a
less.
if they shut it down properly, there's nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah,
But if they just leave it as is, eventually it's gonna melt down, and that's a big problem.
yeah, because everyone always thinks of Chernobyl, but I heard there was a lot of issues when they were just building the place
Oh
that
yeah,
that
Soviet
factor into it.
nonsense.
Yeah, all the nonsense there. So I think I think a lot of the more modern ones, as long as they're up to code, and I think yeah, there's a lot of safeguards in place. It's still the possibility.
Oh yeah.
You still gotta be careful. Like with Fukushima, same deal. That one just got damaged because of storms.
Well,
But
Fukushima, I mean,
and
Japan,
earthquakes.
Japan is in the special circumstance of being an island and surrounded entirely by water. And when they have like frequent typhoons with tsunamis and stuff, nuclear power is kind of like something they gotta be careful with.
Yeah,
And
I
Fukushima
guess
was
that's
far
another
too
topic too.
close to the coastline than it probably should have been.
Yeah, that's another thing to take into account is weather.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Same,
actually
like
like
wind, solar. Like, if you can't get enough sunlight, you're not gonna get enough power from those solar panels. If you
yeah,
have, like,
you can't
wind
get enough
will
wind.
generally work under any circumstances, but if the wind is too hard, it's like you get a tornado or whatever, then
Yeah,
you've got to risk the windmills getting destroyed.
yeah, because they can spin
Hydro
to
is another
dust.
thing where you have to maintain it because I mean it's a dam, and eventually the concrete and all that stuff does kind of start going bad because
Yeah,
it's
because I mean,
tons and
water.
tons
Yeah,
and
water
tons of
is probably one of the
water
most
gushing
destructive
out of
forces.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, water is one of the most destructive forces on Earth.
It's very dense or heavy.
Yeah, it's weird to think about that. A, we also required to live, but
Yeah.
B, it's literally something you drink. But like when someone talks about water damage to their house, it's super expensive to repair,
Oh
and
yeah.
once it gets in the foundation and the wood, it's your house is it can pretty much be fucked.
Oh yeah. And then
So it's wild to think that. Yeah. Oh, for
thermoelectric.
power sources, yeah.
Um, I don't know enough
Thermal, I don't
about
know too much
thermo to
about.
say it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know too much about thermal. What other ones we got?
Coal,
Coal. I want to say some places in West Virginia, from what I remember,
probably.
for certain power, and then certain places in Southern Virginia the same way
Hmm.
for coal
Much of
power
much of
stuff.
Virginia is nuclear.
Oh, it is really.
We have like 3 plants.
Where are we pulling it from?
I
Or
don't
where are the
remember.
power plants?
They're about to retire one of them. I just can't remember. I'd have to look into it, but I think we have like more plants than like any other state in the union.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say last weekend I played at a. It wasn't a nuclear power plant. It was a place that processed nuclear waste.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
At
still
least
want you
they're
guys to
actually
play for it.
processing it and not just dumping it somewhere.
Yeah, so I'd look in the process of it, but like the place was massive.
Mm-hmm.
You would love it, dude. We'll try to go next year, but that's off topic. But
There's
yeah,
one
for
in
power.
Seaford. Or yeah, Seaford basically. And there's one in Hogs Island. There's it's got a wildlife reserve right next to it. That's funny. Did I lose you? Uh-oh, I lost you. Oop, oop, oop. Hold on. Start. Stop. Ah.
Hey, you still there?
Yeah. Also, hi,
Oh,
Prophet.
there we go. Now I'm back on speaker.
Let me see.
Hello, hello, Prophet.
Hey,
Yeah,
Prophet joined in.
I think you accidentally backed out.
There we go.
Yeah, I was having have that issue before.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm
Mhm.
back.
Sorry, I was gonna be up earlier. How'd the stream go?
It's going pretty well. I haven't
Still
ended
go.
it yet.
Still
You're on the stream now, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah, guys. That's what's up. Yeah, like I said, sorry it took me a while. My job did some shenanigans, but now patrolling around, so
Yeah.
instead of just on post. That's good.
Are you
Yep.
at Section 8 or where you at?
Nope, over at the good old NASA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been deviating a little bit from the original topic. But Dad did come on earlier and he provided a lot more knowledge about vehicles and stuff like that. So that definitely was good because we were just kind of like
Oh.
going
'cause we're
off
not
of
really
the
car
basic
guys.
stuff we knew.
Yeah, I
doing
mean, I guess this is this would be the stream for me to miss because I know nothing of cars.
Yeah.
No vehicle.
Well, we're talking about like general. We're not like not the ins and outs, but like general stuff you would probably want to try to do upgrades to your cars. Just
Yeah.
the difference between cars, what you would want in the apocalypse, and then
Oh, yeah.
alternate means of travel. So now for you for profit, what would your apocalypse dream vehicle be?
Well, thanks for asking me, merchant. I know you probably know that I am I'm accustomed to my Tacoma.
Brian,
You mean your
Brian actually
Ford
worked for the
F-150 Tacoma?
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I wish I had pictures for
because
that.
I couldn't afford my F-150 Tacoma, or I couldn't afford an F-150, but I could afford duct tape, so I just did that on the back of my Tacoma.
Deception is the
It was great.
all,
you know,
all warfare is based on deception.
exactly. Come up on
This
an
is
F-150.
totally a F-150, guys.
That's not a real F-150. It's just like if you were to put like if someone were like, oh yeah, the guy that just stole my stuff from me, he's in an F-150. F-150 is written on the back of it, and I pull up next to an F-150, they're not gonna know. It's like, okay, is it the real F-150
Or is it
is it this asshole who couldn't afford an F-150 and just
duct
kept it in the back?
taped F-150?
It's a great camouflage for sure. But if I really had to honestly answer the question, you know, I'm a pretty simple guy. I like things that function and are reliable.
Yeah.
That's my main thing. And the Tacoma, I didn't know a lot about cars, but you know, I delivered pizzas for a while, and we went over that in the last stream. But I
Yep.
delivered pizzas for a while, and I actually did part of my deliveries in the Tacoma back in the day. And you know, I don't know anything about trucks, so I pulled up to this guy's house one day, and he's like, "Oh man, you got a Tacoma? It's looking nice. How many miles are on it?" I said, "Well, about 250,000." And you know, although I don't know a lot about vehicles, I do know that 250,000 is a pretty substantial amount.
Yeah.
You know, pretty substantial amount of miles. And he's like, "Wow, you're only halfway through the life on that thing." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah. Have you not? Do you not know what like Tacomas are?" And I said, "Honest with you, friend, it's all French to me. I don't know." And he was like, "Yeah, dude. All you got to do is put some oil, put some gas in it, make sure you've got some water in it, and it's all good to go." I was like, "Oh shit. Well, yeah." So you know, a Tacoma, actually, realistically speaking, wouldn't be out of the realm, but you know, definitely had to have some modifications to it. I
Yeah.
was thinking about getting one of the because I know Merchant likes to sleep in his Xterra, and it has a ton of space in the back, so you can do
You're
that.
in my car. I
Yeah.
feel safest of all. I can lock all my doors. It's the only way to live in cars.
I was gonna try to put one of those camper shells on the back of that Tacoma, so I could do the same thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
because I thought, you know, if real world happened, or if we're just going to one event to the other, and it's like, yeah, you know, kind of like Revelations, where we can kind of go back to our cars or pitch a tent or
Yeah.
something like that. You know, I would feel a lot better. Feel a lot better just sleeping in the back of my truck, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought getting the they have it for a lot of cars and trucks and SUVs where it goes on top of your car, it hooks into the ski racks where it acts like another tent.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a big tent.
I've actually seen that at Rev. I've actually seen that at Rev. I don't know if you guys saw that before, but
last I saw one for I think it was only like I think $100 or $200, so it wasn't bad.
Really, only $100, $200. Damn.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not bad at all.
You gotta have ski racks.
Although I would question the quality.
Yeah.
I've seen that same thing, but there's a ladder that you have to climb up to actually get inside of the tent that's on the roof. So I would be like, damn. I mean, I'm pretty hefty dude. I don't know if that aluminum
Yeah.
10 can ladder would carry my body weight, or if I would impale myself with 10 cans, aluminum cans. You know, impale myself with the ladder. So
Let's
I mean,
hope not.
I would hope not either. That's why I was like, if the truck can carry my body weight when I'm driving, I'm pretty sure I can probably sleep in the back of the Tacoma.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with just going with what you know. I like my Nissan. I wish it just had a little bit more room in the back because I can't lay down like perfectly. I have to go at an angle if I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
When we sleep at Rev, I have to sleep on like an angle, but it was just a little bit longer where I can actually just lay down perfectly and not need to worry about it. I'd be a-okay. I'd be happy.
Yeah. And I mean, Dad did suggest basically a flatbed, like pickup that has a long, bed, so that you could,
Yeah,
and
because you can
has
attach the
the-
shells to them.
yeah, and you could have the cover and everything.
Wasn't Andy thinking about doing that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
not sure.
I will say pickup trucks do give you a lot of stuff you can do to them to modify.
Yeah.
But just on a daily basis, just like, I'm not really pulling anything. I don't really need that extra horsepower but for me, like, I would honestly use it more for the utility of like being able to toss stuff in the back.
Oh, totally.
The problem is because I live kind of in the city. If it's open in the back, then people can just take what you have out in the back and take it off. So
Yeah, that's why I'd want to get one of the, not a cover, but like a
like a hard shell top.
hard shell top. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
even on my Tacoma, I have a hard shell cover that I can lock up, which is
Yeah.
awesome if I want to store something in the back. I remember when we were heading up to the Wasteland weekend with Merchant, I actually opted to go ahead and buy a couple of jerry cans that I can put into the back of my vehicle,
Yeah.
just in case. And it was I could easily lock those up. I could put my chopping axe in there if need be. It was just very handy, and to me that's why I would want a truck over a lot of regular vehicles. But then again, you also got to think, the maintenance, gas mileage, the upkeep of the vehicle, this, that, and
Yeah.
the third. Which I'm not a car handyman, so I would
Yeah.
be no help there.
I mean,
But
Dad
what you could
definitely
do for your
mentioned
car-
diesel being pretty needed in terms of long term.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, but Prophet, what you can do that we can't do is you can turn your truck into a technical.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna say that didn't cross my mind once or twice.
we just get four AR-15s, tape them together, and do that as a.
Man.
It's actually in Gears of War. In Gears of War, that's their heavy machine gun. Is they just have four like rifles, all not taped together, but like welded together. So it's four barrels.
That's funny.
So you guys know William, the guy who brought the deuce and a half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about him. Yeah.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
mentioned
so
him.
I know. Will, I was actually on the phone with him earlier tonight. But he, look, William does what William wants to do. That's just it's just
true.
apparent. It's just you can't really tell him one way or the other. So William told me, he was like, once I get enough money, once I can get all this stuff, I want to outfit that deuce and a half with mounted MGs.
Oh my
And
god.
He wants to put it like, if you've
The
ever
mad
went
lad.
to, well, I
I
know
know.
the swamp does the zombie hunt thing.
Yeah.
And they have paintball guns mounted inside of a like tractor thingy that they haul through the field and shoot at zombies and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, William wanted to do that, but have real MGs up there. And I was thinking, well, isn't this deuce and a half just kind of like a passenger / storage vehicle for like dropping
it's utility.
stuff off?
Yeah, it's a utility truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious. I was thinking, just William, why would you?
Yeah.
And then his response is, of course, well, why not? I said, well, there's a million reasons to not to, but since you're William, that just gives you the reason to do it. You know. So, but well, hey guys, I hate to jump off so fast. I gotta go and check some of this stuff. I might be back on, maybe 20, 30 minutes, give or take, just depending on how long this takes. But I don't want to hog up the phone or hog up the mic. But I just want to let you know, awesome talking with you guys yet again off the stream.
Yeah.
Good to
I
have
wish
you.
I could have been here for longer, but the life happens. So
No, I understand.
Homie.
Yeah.
You gotta patrol for those raiders.
Yeah. Gotta make sure they don't cause trouble.
Steer your beans.
yeah, the space ghosts. Gotta patrol for the space ghosts. But yeah,
Coast to
guys,
coast.
it was awesome talking with you. I will see you guys later. I am I'm gonna do an unofficial close for me because I'm leaving. I am the Prophet. Thank you for listening to me for a little bit, and I will leave you with the very capable hands of Merchant and the Overseer. Of course.
Good to see you. See you
Love
next
you.
time.
Yeah, see you next time, guys.
Have a good one.
I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he does have some good ideas. Yeah, different vehicles allow you to do different mods a little bit easier or harder depending on what you have.
Oh yeah.
If you have a car, you're pretty much focused on. You can pretty much pimp it out to have it more. You have like better handling and speed and defense.
Yep.
But with trucks and utility vehicles, you can have a lot more defensive capabilities or offensive capabilities and more storage space.
Yep. And
So it's all about
honestly,
what you-
it's I kind of want to say whatever has better gas mileage is preferable
Yeah.
because having a fast car might not be something that's necessarily
No.
needed in a wasteland environment compared to having something that's might be a little bit slower but better to maneuver with, and it'll last you longer.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like from what we've learned, diesel is the way to go, and something with a steel frame
Yeah.
is a little more durable. But yeah, now I really want to like. What I would love is actually if I wish I had enough money to just buy a regular junker car. I
Yeah.
have a garage so I can start and just have a project where you have this car and you can do whatever you want with like something I don't have to worry about driving to work the next day.
Yeah.
I can't
Oh,
really do
yeah.
it to my Nissan and drive into the office. Like, why do you have spikes and a roll cage on your car?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I can say a demolition derby, but they probably wouldn't believe me. But yeah,
That would be
I'd
fun.
love to be able to get a garage to just do that, or have like a community group project. Like we all pitch in money for a car
Yeah.
that we're just gonna only use for wasteland stuff. and
Well, I
we
mean,
can do
like the
whatever
whole
we-
ambulance thing, I believe most ambulances run off diesel.
Yeah, they are gasoline ones. They aren't as good in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. That's why I do want to get a diesel ambulance because the gas is a little more expensive, but the mileage you get out of a diesel was way better.
Yeah.
There was because the place I worked at, we had multiple ambulances.
Yeah.
Pretty much whatever we can get our hold of, we would drive that day. The gas one, we'd have to fill up multiple times a day, and we're driving all over Virginia. The diesel one, we'd only have to really fill up at the beginning if they didn't fill it up beforehand, and at the end of the shift, as a courtesy to say, hey, if you need to go on a call, you're not going to be running on fumes.
Yeah.
So I'd say diesel one, the gas is a little more expensive, but considering you can go a lot further, I'd say that's a pretty darn good trade-off. And they were generally just easier, or there wasn't as many problems. We didn't have as many like engine problems,
Mm-hmm.
which was handy. So I definitely want to look around, see if I can save up, get one of those, or propose it to the group. I know times are tough right now, so
Yeah.
maybe not now. But if we could set up a way to do a pool of, every so often you put in some money and we all save up and put a down payment on an ambulance.
Yeah.
And just be a community project.
Yep. I think you would
Everyone-
probably
everyone-
still be the main title holder for it, but like in
I'm a
terms
little
of
rusty.
funding it.
I'm a little rusty because I know I had to get a special license.
Oh
or
yeah.
certificate. Not a license. It was just a training class, just so you can get used to driving them. But yeah, if we just go out to an abandoned lot or a parking lot and just have everyone practice around, so if we need to switch off drivers, or if someone's like, "Hey, I'm going to take the car and go here," it's like, yeah, it's not an issue. I wouldn't say like, "Oh, it's mine and mine only." I think it'd just be fun if we could take it to whoever has a garage of our friend group and just like, yeah, I'm going to drive down one weekend and just put a bunch of shit in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, just the problem is we have to make sure it's street legal. So I have to look it up. I think for street legal, it has to have that has to be inspected. Yeah, it can't be a farm vehicle, but it has to have working lights, brakes, windshield wipers, the general lot of stuff. That's why
Yeah.
if we were to go to Wasteland Weekend, some of those customization stuff we'd probably have to wait. We would store it in the car and just have a quick way to fasten it. Like like what I've seen for the windshields for what they do for rally races. It's like that, like the thick fabric or the canvas.
Yeah.
Just have the mount points ready, so when you get there, you just roll it up, put it over the windshield, and you're good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Wasteland Weekend guys will
Yeah.
carry their vehicles on a flatbed, like semi truck thing, and then they will they'll so that way they use their normal vehicle with a hitch and everything, and then they carry that over to the location, and then they pull that car off. So because a lot of their cars are probably not street legal, so
hell no.
so that's how they get around it. They don't drive them there themselves. Maybe a couple of them do, but like most of the time they're using like a flatbed semi carrier type thing, and then they just have like a pickup or whatever that they drive to.
Yeah, no, what
and
we
back.
could do, and we wouldn't have to worry about it, is still keep everything street legal, on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
But we could still, as a group, we could change the paint in the outside as much as we want, because it doesn't affect it, and the inside too, which would be the biggest work.
Yeah,
Change that,
in terms
and
of like a
whatever we
paint
want-
job and stuff, like,
I
yeah,
would
we
love to
could
do
make
a
that
Raccoon
entirely
City police
customized. Huh?
Yeah, I would love to have. I would actually, for some of them, for some of the ambulances I saw, the labels are already faded. So I'm like, I would just leave it as is,
Yeah.
or make it look even more grungy. But if I could, I would love to get a Raccoon City like ambulance service,
Yeah.
or like some Fallout like related something on it as a to make it look like, yeah, this was an ambulance that we picked up and then modified.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the paint job, we can do whatever we want with it because it doesn't affect the performance of the vehicle.
Yep.
And then yeah, have like kind of ports we could use, kind of quick, have a couple things set up where like, yeah, once we get there, we can set up the more apocalyptic stuff that might not be street legal. Like if we want to put, well, most ambulances already have a push bar on them, so that's not an issue. But if we want to put like spikes and decorations in it, we would wait until we get there or close to there, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we got a good like COV logo going, like an official one,
that'd be perfect too.
That would be good too.
The perfect one would be if we can get an ambulance that already kind of looks like the labels are already run down, and then kind of leave them as is, so it looks like apocalyptic, like we picked it up, and then also put COV stuff on it.
Yeah. So like we repurposed it kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I think it'd be kind of cool to like have this this like whatever the name of whatever is from, like wherever county ambulance service would be, kind of leave that as it could be cool, especially if it's Virginia and then we show up in California.
Oh yeah,
that'd be awesome.
That would be
some of these ambulances aren't super duper expensive. They're older, but like if I can get a car loan like like I did for mine, it wouldn't be out of the question. I just have to make payments on it, but I have to see. But yeah, there's one for like I think $13,000. I'm like, that's not bad.
No,
I could do like with my car loan and be like, yeah, either pay in cash, like just save up a bunch of money and just pay outright, or get a car loan. But the problem is, again, where I live now, I don't have a garage. I could park it in our parking lot. That wouldn't be an issue, but I would also have to deal with I'd have to deal with essentially 2 license plates and 2 registries.
Hmm.
So I have to deal with I had to deal with my car, dealing with the inspection, all that shit, and then I also have to do this ambulance inspection, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. It's still just a pain in the ass because I have to keep track of 2 cars. Then
Yeah.
I don't know how my stepdad
The
does it.
the
'Cause he takes
benefit
care
of Wasteland is that you don't have to do an inspection.
Nah. Well, no. Well, are like in IRL or post apocalypse?
Posta.
Oh yeah, post apocalypse. I don't have to worry about dealing with paperwork and shit.
Yeah.
I could actually put gloves in my glove box and not paperwork. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic. I have so much more room. I'm having a textbook of shit I got to keep track of for my car.
Gloves in the glove box. Yep.
What an absolute mad lad.
Keeps gloves in his glove box.
What psychopath does that? 'Cause, yeah, in my glove box right now, there's my car's manual, my car's registration,
Mm-hmm.
and then like a flashlight, I think. And then some other and spark plugs. But no
Nice.
gloves.
No gloves.
No gloves. No gloves in my compartment.
Nope.
That's why I'd love to get it. Yeah, that's why I know it sounds like I'm fixated on it, but it's cool because again, most of the stuff's already built into it. There's already cabinets, there's already a power back, there's outlets you can plug into, and then on the sides there's a shitload of storage space because they carry around oxygen tanks and spare batteries for their jump kit. So it's like, yeah, you have all this extra room now.
Yep.
And we can camp out of it. That's the other purpose. Is if I really want to just like say fuck it and get out of town, I could use it as a camp, or we could use it as a camping vehicle. Anyone who wants to just jump in there.
Yep.
But yeah, I have to figure out how to get a better bed for that because the cot bed is not. It would work because it's post-apocalyptic, but it's not really comfortable.
No.
But I do. It is convenient though because you just pop it in. It's the cot itself. If it's the non-electric one, is really easy to get up and in and out.
Yeah.
I guess I just have to replace the padding for that. But you can't really roll around or you can't really sprawl out on it. Like you have to stay. It's narrow for a reason. You don't want if you're working on somebody, if they're injured, you don't want them all sprawled out. You want them kind of like self-contained. But I'm sure there's plenty. I'll have to look at some options and see what people have done for those, how people have converted that. But that's why I was like, yeah, it'd be the easiest one to do because panel van, we'd have to do a lot more work on.
Oh yeah.
With the ambulance, we just kind of make sure it's gutted if it isn't already, and then put a bunch of like what we specifically need for our, for our purposes. A little stove back there, a little propane stove, whatever we want to store on the vehicle. It's already got cabinets, so we don't have to put cabinet. We don't have to worry about that.
Nope.
I might probably take out maybe take out the bench. There's a bench that runs alongside the person, and there's the captain's seat, which I would actually probably keep that in.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's handy. Because you got a table right next to you. So
Okay.
maybe take out the bench. It's got a cargo net, so probably keep that. But yeah, there's so much storage space. Or utility vans also be a pretty decent option. It's like the pickup ones, but they also have, I've seen, it's a pickup. It has the big old metal back where it's a utility vehicle, but some of them are already enclosed where it has like a little door. But I don't know I don't even know what to search for to find those.
Yeah.
Because that would be another good option because it's a lot easier. It already has a bunch of stuff built into it. The problem is in the back, if you want to actually sleep, it's probably not a lot of room.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure, in terms of having space in a vehicle, you're always going to run into a problem at one point or another. That's why it's more ideal to have a stationary place at the end of the day.
Having a bed in the car you're trying to get from A to B and you want to, catch some Z's.
Yeah.
if you can get decently well rested, yeah. But it's not the end of the world. But
Is it though?
is it
Uh-huh.
though? Pun intended. Yeah. If your goal, like say you're stationary, say you actually have like a base of operations set up, then yeah, your car would probably be more modified for scavenging. You know, getting in and out, having like a tow winch on. Actually, that'd be a good upgrade too. Getting a tow winch
Yeah.
for if you have a beefy car to get one of those, so you can pull stuff. You can pull people out if they're trapped in, or if their cars are down a hill, or if you need to lift something, if you need to move a car out of the way, you can just hook it to their frame and move the car.
Yep.
So it's got some utility. I'd say that'd be another upgrade if you can get it before the apocalypse or after if you can find one.
Yeah.
But yeah, for if you ever already have a base, then yeah, I can't imagine seeing too many people specifically being nomads where they would only do that, where they would never set up and they would just only drive around
Yeah,
and
I
just
can't really
harass
imagine
people.
that being a normal thing.
Because I don't know. Because again, with it depends on the roads. If the roads are relatively clear, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I would see people more do just set up ambushes. Because if you're trying to like go on the road and seek people out, you're gonna burn a lot of gas, and not only your gas, whoever's with you.
Oh
So you
yeah.
got a mini convoy. So I'd say honestly, probably what you would see more of is people set up ambush points.
Yeah.
Those long stretch of highways that are like 1 or 2 lanes. And yeah, they probably put a car or some trees in the road and sit there. But they run into the problem of how long are they gonna wait until they get something?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It might just be a matter of convenience. But I'll just show the video too, because it actually kind of brought up what I know this isn't car related, but
Well.
it went up to what the architect or Phoenix was saying about how people react in apocalyptic situations. And it
Oh
usually
yeah.
again the genres people usually in the genre usually come or the typical raiders, and I think there still would
Yeah.
be people, but as I think it would be to an extent, as long as there was some hope of like, yeah, things are gonna bounce back. Yeah, I'd say people were probably pretty decent to each other. Like from what you saw, or from what I saw for, what we saw. Sorry, for what you see in storms or major like accidents or anything like that, where
Yeah.
people come from out of state, out of country to help out.
Yeah.
The problem is if it's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, people tend to help each other out whenever possible,
Yeah.
which, gives you faith in humanity and all.
Yeah. Like seeing people take their own personal boats for Katrina and go in and like rescue people.
But then you will
Or-
also definitely see the looters,
Oh yeah.
the people that definitely do take advantage and do bad
Which is a
things.
shame, but it comes down to like if you have nothing, you have no food, and you have to go to the store and, like steal stuff. It's like wow. But if it's like, oh, I'm gonna go steal a TV, it's like why? Your house is flooded. Like, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the static on the screen. Or not even that. The power's out. I'm gonna watch the. I know.
I'm gonna look at my reflection in the TV screen.
I know why people steal TVs for in those situations, so they can take the plastic off, because it's a super great feeling when you take that long plastic off and it comes off just right, and the whole thing looks really clean. Perfect.
It's probably resale value too.
Editing. Yeah. But yeah, as far as vehicles in the apocalypse, yeah, it's pretty much whatever you can get whatever you're currently driving, and then whatever you can do to your vehicle, what with your skills and tool set.
Yep.
That you can do. But again, I don't see people doing the classic like Mad Max style, at least for like a couple days in the apocalypse.
Yeah. It might happen eventually.
Yeah, that might happen eventually, but it takes a lot of time. And the Mad Max universe, they still have gas. They still have the refinery, whatever, the gas town.
Yeah.
That is from what I remember from the lore, is a refinery.
Oh,
So they
okay.
do the whole process. They do the whole extracting oil and refining it. So that's why they can have running cars in the apocalypse.
Yep.
But in The Walking Dead, since there really isn't any refineries, it's like, well, once it's out, it's out.
Yep.
But it would be fun to kind of bring. Actually, no. In the what was Last of Us? They pretty much use horses mainly. They don't really use cars.
Yeah.
Like cars, for, like in the first one, you only get a car running once, and you have to do a whole rigmarole to get it running because it needs gas and needs a whole bunch of, or it needs battery and some other stuff for it. And from what you saw from the interstates, stuff like that, they're all clogged up.
Yeah.
Actually, the beginning of that game is a pretty good like indicator of how things usually go down for the situations like that.
Oh
Everyone
yeah.
panics on the highway. But yeah, mostly it's horseback, like horses and stuff. But the problem with that is, A, you have to know how to ride a horse.
Mm-hmm.
B, horses have to be temperamental to the point where if something happens, like say a gunshot goes off, they're not
Yeah.
gonna freak.
They're not gonna freak out and run off
Yeah, because for
or
police
knock
and
you
military,
off.
well, not well, they don't really use military horses unless I think it's a ceremony. But I know for police horses that they still use for like if there's like uh, riot response stuff like that, they train the horses specifically to get used to stuff like that. They'll put them in scenarios where people will be running up on them. They'll fire off. I don't think they'll fire a gun off, but they'll put like really loud noises that go off and make sure that they get kind of used to it.
Yeah.
Same with when they take horses for movies, they'd fire off blanks
War horses and
beforehand.
stuff.
Yeah, they'd fire off beforehand to make sure they're trained. Because yeah, back in the day, a well-trained horse was worth its weight in gold.
Oh yeah.
Even
Literally.
in the apocalypse. Yeah, literally, and that's why horse thieving, as much as it seems like a joke now, but back in the day, that was as equivalent to stealing someone's car.
Uh-huh.
Like that was high crimes and treason back in the day.
Yep.
Actually, I just look up the punishment for it. I know it was pretty severe. I think it wasn't like a death sentence, but it was very severe if you stole. I know cattle rustling was a big crime.
Oh yeah.
You can go away for a while, but yeah, it would be almost like the old west, kind of like the old western days, but with like modern guns.
Yeah.
Actually, even nowadays, I think Border Patrol and marshals for certain states they still use horses
Yeah.
because certain areas where cars just can't get to.
Or it's more inconspicuous.
Yeah, it's more conspicuous because horses are not silent. They're not like floating. They still make noise.
Yeah.
They'll tell flop. And even on softer ground, you can still kind of hear them. It's muffled.
Yeah.
If you're used to like animals like that in nature, because I know you've been around horses. Sometimes they'll just randomly just start running.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's the joke is they'll like run they'll run around a little bit and then they'll just like stop and eat. It's like
Yep.
cool. Okay. Oh, we got our exercise for the day. All right, we're gonna stop.
Yep.
So I guess if they're used to that sound in the area, it might not be as conspicuous, but yeah, horses are still relatively, or they're not like the perfect vehicle because again they're organic.
Yeah.
If I shoot my car in the door, it still runs. If I shoot my horse, it's not going to be.
It's gonna die.
It's going to die, especially and the whole meme of like, yeah, if a horse breaks his leg, it's incredibly hard to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not impossible, but
And I mean,
just the
horses are incredibly large and heavy animals.
What is terrifying is to see horses fight each other.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
I can
Like
imagine.
these massive animals just kicking the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
The other thing too, you have to be careful is about being trampled or being kicked by them.
I've been kicked and stepped on. It ain't fun.
Yeah, I've been stepped on. It's not fun. So if my car doesn't start, it doesn't hurt me physically. It hurts me mentally, but it's not like being kicked in the head by a horse. So that's yeah. It'd be the average Joe trying to get a hold of one of those. Initially, probably not the easiest depending on the area, but I'd say long term wise, like if we're saying like the power's out and things go down for like years and years and years, yeah, probably horseback riding would come back in full force.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people would figure out some way to get power back.
Yeah, by then, because we're talking years and years and years
Yeah.
into like the
Like,
apocalypse, right?
So I've been actually playing part of the channel, a game called Project Wingman. It's
Is that the one with jets in it?
Yeah, it's one of the games with jets in it. And in the lore of the game, prior to the events of the game itself, like years and years and years ago, the Ring of Fire around the Pacific, exploded. You know, all the volcanoes and stuff.
Oh shit!
Pretty much all at once. Put the world into basically a nuclear winter in a sense. Yellowstone even went off, so you can imagine what
That
happened
terrifies
to part
me.
of America.
That's one apocalypse I am not looking forward to.
Same, especially considering when I was there, the ranger told us, "Oh yeah, Yellowstone is overdue."
Oh yeah, it's overdue for a big old boom, and the problem is once it goes off, it'll literally block out the sun with how much ash. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, oh, that's
we're gonna
that's
have
that's
an
on the
ice
West
age if
Coast.
that thing goes off.
Yeah, well, people are like, oh, why are you worried? It's on the West Coast. It's like even in Virginia, it'll still affect everybody.
It'll be the
It'll
entire
affect
planet.
worldwide. Yeah, it'll affect everybody.
the-
So it's everyone's problem.
So volcanoes, super volcanoes, such as Yellowstone, or the previous one to have exploded, Krakatoa. Krakatoa, when it went off, it had a worldwide climate effect. If you've ever heard of the Little Ice Age, which is basically during around the same time period that the French Revolution happened and stuff, and one of the reasons,
yeah.
arguably, for it, that's around the time that the volcano went off, and it caused like literal global climate change, that basically made a little ice age as a result. And that's a small volcano. Like, it's considered a super volcano, I believe, but it's still small compared to Yellowstone.
Yeah, and if Yellowstone goes off, it'll be a big ice age.
Yeah. But in the game, they call it the Calamity. When, like, all that stuff happens. And
So
there's, like...
how does it go from that to jets?
So, because, crazily enough, despite all these things, despite this kind of apocalyptic scenario, technology and stuff is eventually, like, brought back. Like, it doesn't just become, like, Mad Max Wasteland forever. Like, it is for a little while, and then over time, like, engineers and, like, intelligent people start harnessing the thermal energy from the locations where the volcanoes had, like, blown up. Like, it's stabilized enough that people were able to build basically thermal power plants around the area, and then because of that we had energy come back essentially, and then like factions and countries started to form up again and vie for power and whatnot, and no doubt things such as jets and military vehicles and stuff would probably still exist in some capacity.
Yeah.
Same with the design of them. So eventually society largely came back, especially in areas that were not as affected. But the thing that makes it interesting is that like there are areas that are exclusion zones. You can't go there because it's just molten fire everywhere, basically. It's not, you can't live there. It's not possible.
No
Um,
stalkers.
but there's and a lot of countries' governments fell apart as a result of the original calamity, so new governments have propped up, and some of them are weaker than others, and some of them are more powerful. One of the ones you're at war against is the Federation, which is basically all the major thermal power countries that formed an alliance with each other and then decided to federate as one major country, and they're all along the Ring of Fire because that's where all this energy is coming from.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and you are a mercenary company that works on the outskirts with a lot of the minor countries and stuff like that. But you get a contract to help some revolutionaries within the Federation break away from the Federation. And
Okay.
so you basically help them do that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's not quite Wasteland, but it's like, because it's post Wasteland in a lot of ways. But it has that
they
element to it.
recovered from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
after the recovery from a Wasteland like scenario.
Reminds me of that episode of Rick and Morty where they're in the wasteland and then they find out that the meteorite like shards have power. And then
Yeah.
they slowly just start to redevelop into like regular like neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be funny, a cool concept of it would be Mad Max but with like aircraft. It's like
Yeah.
jets, helicopters, and stuff like that. Because we already had Waterworld, so we already had boats. Mad Max, which is cars. So now all we need is this
Planes.
wingman. We need trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Project Wingman, like I said, it's definitely a post-Wasteland thing. So, like, modern technology and stuff has largely come back. People live
Yeah.
like they do in real life now and stuff like that. But they have a history attached to it, is where the Wasteland element comes in.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually reminds me of, I think it was something on the History
And
Channel
there's crazy fucking nukes.
Whoa.
Like so when all the volcanoes went off and stuff, and after they stabilized everything and got power, they found out some sort of new resource was made because of the chain reaction and everything. Like a new
Unobtainium?
kind of, I forget what it was called. And it can be used for weapons. And they use it for like fucking mega nukes, basically. Like, they're not even really nukes anymore because they're like these weird thermal, like. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. There's a lot of orange in that game.
Just like Deus Ex.
Yeah, lots of yellows and blacks.
It's future, man. You wouldn't understand.
Um,
I do like the black gold aesthetic though, I'll say that.
yeah. But yeah, that's my justification ultimately for playing the game on the channel. Because I just wanted to play it because it's a cool flight game. But I didn't want to play Ace Combat because I was like, it doesn't quite fit. But the more I learned about the lore and stuff for Project Wingman, I was like, all right, this is my excuse.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of the whole post people slowly developing back into society.
Mm-hmm.
Really good movie, kind of underrated, is a movie called The Domestics, where it's like that's what happens. There's some sort of I think either government collapse or economic collapse. So infrastructure's still there.
Yeah.
and it's following this one family. You know, they go across the U.S. to visit their parents or whatever,
Yep.
and on the radio station they're talking about like, yeah, there's been like just neighborhoods or towns that just kind of like they're not killing each other. They're just kind of came together and they started rebuilding.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends. This neighborhood they live in, where they even have they have push mowers because I don't think they have gas mowers.
Yeah.
They're mowing their lawns. They're doing like the normal like stuff. They even have like a mini paper route.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're kind of living their normal life. There is pockets of the U.S. where it's just like, yeah, constant raiders.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. It was a pretty not the best movie, not super fantastic, but a cool concept. I really liked it. It was
Yeah.
The Domestics.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
There's a really cool as far as like gun. It was one of the main antagonists has a grease gun, but it has an anti-aircraft sight on it. And I'm just like, why?
Why? Well, I mean, why did we put anti or what was it? The Mauser broom handle had like weird modifications like that.
Oh yeah. The we have a stock long barrel and drum mag.
Yeah.
Because fuck you.
And a scope.
And scope. Yeah. I don't know why it's, but why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to look up see if there's any more like apocalyptic movies and shows and
Yeah.
stuff I've missed.
Yeah, we
there
could
was
definitely. We could probably
I-
do a whole topic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I could do a
it's
different
fiction.
stream where we talk about we do movie reviews in a sense.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Or book. I've only read a couple apocalyptic books.
Yeah.
Mainly because I can't read. But there's been a couple good ones that I've read. And I know there's a couple more that have been recommended.
Yeah.
But let's see if we can find.
Oh, also, as a little bit of an announcement as to potential future plans, I know a guy, he's the channel owner for Beyond the Game, and he and I have talked about doing shorts, character shorts for all of us.
Oh
It's
yeah, I was
Teeth.
talking to him about that too.
Yeah. He's goes by Teeth as a Wastelander, but I just figured I'd plug his channel too. But yeah, we might be doing some sort of character shorts at some point. There's no definite answer as to when that's gonna be and whatnot, but just to throw that out there, I figured I'd bring it up since it was on my mind. And we
Yeah,
were talking about films.
I definitely want to do that, and if you need help in your segment, let me know, and I'll hop in.
Yeah.
'Cause I definitely want to do that, especially before whenever the next Wasteland game we go to is.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And speaking of Wasteland games, I do want to do another session with you soon.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Because I'm running out of footage, so I need to get new footage.
Yeah, are you free tomorrow or today?
Today, yeah, as in Sunday, as in the day. Yeah, I should be. I'm gotta make sure that I've got videos going up. So if I'm missing anything, I want to make sure I prioritize getting that ready to go. Which is mostly just me doing any editing and rendering and whatnot, and then scheduling it. But once that's done, then I'll be free. Although I'm thinking about going up to the swamp, because I do need to get off my ass, so.
Trevor. No, you're not wrong. I do want to go play at TAA, the local airsoft place again, but again, because this weekend I've got the fun, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then maybe I have to see what I'm doing next weekend because I think my parents are coming to town.
Oh, okay.
I don't know yet. I'll have to talk to them.
Well,
I do want to do something. I was thinking about going up to Ballahack or to Augusta for my birthday.
cool.
But again, I'll just see what my parents are up to, and I'll let you guys know what the plans are. But yeah, I'd love to just go with you guys and do a day game at Ballahack or go down to Augusta because it's a little bit closer for me.
Yeah.
closer, a little bit closer, as in like, I think like an hour.
Oh yeah.
Because I think to drive from my house to, maybe, yeah. For me to Augusta now is like 2.5 hours, and for me to you is like 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I figure we should end the stream now, so let's start wrapping things up. This has been the Overseer and the Merchant. Well, hold on one second. Mic error. Okay. Can you hear me? Because I don't think I can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my mic does weird things because of my headphones, but so yeah, we're gonna wrap things up, guys. Great to have you all talking about cars and trucks and all sorts of things. And then getting way off topic towards the end there. But it's all right. I'm glad y'all stuck around. For those that did, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think overall. Hit the bell, of course, for notifications. If you're on Twitch, give me a follow. And this has been Overseer and the Merchant, and we had Dead One, and Prophet on for a little while. And that's all for tonight, I guess, guys. So have a good night, everybody, and good luck in the Wasteland.
Yep. Stay safe and keep the powder dry, I guess.
Bye.